everybody. Well, we're back this week. We're going to see how well this works. See if my internet connection's willing to hold out like it usually does and let me stream properly. And as you can tell, with me tonight is Mike.
Hey there, just me. Basically the idea behind this stream was that since the Ninja Gaiden one last week was a semi-bust due to bullshit technical issues on Rob's end, we just decided to go for a sort of smaller stream as A, kind of a mea culpa for that going all haywire, and B, so that we can get through an entire stream without his net going the way of the dodo. So,
yeah, and if this succeeds, next week we will do that Ninja Gaiden roundtable.
Yeah, for real. I sure hope so, because I'd like to talk about that series.
So, thank you, Great White North. Good to see you, Jay.
And hey, Jay. How's it going?
Thank you for sharing. So, this is actually the first episode of a new series I'm going to be doing from now on, which, when we don't have a major roundtable planned and we still want to stream, Mike and I are going to just gather in our friendly little, watering hole, Dyer's Place, established in 24, and just talk about whatever, under the glow of the neon.
I guess fuck around and find out is the technical term that everyone goes with nowadays. I don't know.
We're just gonna bullshit, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
if you all like figurative bullshit, then you come to the right place. If you're looking for a literal bullshit, I'm afraid this isn't a farm. So
yeah. So go to a farm.
Yeah, make it very cringy out the gate here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. What do you expect?
I suck shit at improv, so don't even think about yes-anding me. I'm not going to give you anything good.
Oh yeah, well, what would happen if Mr. T and E.T. had a baby?
God
it
damn it!
Probably sound a little like this. I pity the fool who didn't phone home. Remember, Night at the Improv never talks about anything past the 1980s.
And we will probably make at least one Simpsons reference an episode if this becomes a thing. So
probably.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, unlike most of the times that we have a stream, tonight I made the background.
And honestly, you did a pretty good job too. So
yeah, I was just screwing around with one of the paint programs I have, and hey, it worked, especially for that neon.
Yeah, it's like Eat at Joe's, except Eat at Simon, Bill, and Ryu's apparently.
Well, those are the three best characters I can think of to put there.
They are kind of the holy trinity of action platformers on the NES, which is overall the theme that we went for. Just lots of characters from what we deemed among our favorite, or at least the most interesting action platformers. Although I find Holy Diver a massive pain in the ass to play, I'll give Randy his space there.
I got a soft spot for it. It was one of the first imports I ever got, so.
As a matter of fact, it's one of the very few that I ever bought with my own money, so me too.
Oh, there you go. So, since we're going to be doing this, I figured tonight we're just going to talk about some of our most favorite games that we haven't discussed in other roundtables before.
And that we likely won't be able to fit into other roundtables. At least, that's what I'm trying to go with. Thinking of things I can discuss that pretty sure isn't going to make it in any major episode.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, we got a Konami Shooters episode coming up at some point in the future. And
yeah, knowing Rob, that's a given.
Yeah.
Says like I don't know him for as long as I fucking know him.
So, but we're we got a lot of roundtables planned, and hopefully we can get to all of them at some point. So, in the meantime, at least we can talk about some of these.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to kick things off, I'm going to bring up Kin Satan.
Very good start.
That is my favorite Master System game of all time. It was described as Castlevania in feudal Japan, but it's a little more than that. I mean, they still share some common DNA, but it gets very dark Japanese yokai stuff going on, as
Oh
opposed to
yeah.
Castlevania with all of its Count Dracula, European monster folklore, Universal monsters, and all that.
Uh huh. It
So
is very strictly Japanese in its theme. It is like a much less crappy take on the game Musia that would come out a few years later in the SNES. But
yeah, Betty and I
I shouldn't.
covered that one.
You did, and I remember you guys were thoroughly whelmed by it.
Yeah, I've kind of always been whelmed by it. She just found it was funny with some of the stuff, like how he's a pike man, he's got that spear, so I was like poke, 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 poke.
I mean, hey, at least it's a slightly lesser used weapon than a sword, not to put down Hayate's swordsmanship. He's able to run while just flailing it in front of him like a crazy lunatic, which I like.
I think you're talking about Hayato. Hayate is the guy from Shadow of the
Hayato,
Ninja.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Who is on this roster there? He's the purple ninja in the lower right.
Yep, and then the Lady Kaid is right next to him in pink.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that remake that's in the works for that game.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in checking that out if it makes it to Steam.
Absolutely. But anyway.
But most people should recognize the characters we have here.
And we'll gladly tell you if there's anyone that you don't recognize. So
Yeah, so that said, back to Kinsaden. It was one of the first Master System games I ever played. I actually played it before I played the original Castlevania.
cool.
I distinctly remember, actually, there was a childhood friend of mine. He had a Master System, and he had, I think, 4 games for it at the time, besides Hang On and Safari Hunt, which were built into the console. He had Wonder Boy. He had Kinsaden. He had Zillion 2.
Mm.
And there was one other. And it's escaping me at the moment. I don't know what it is.
Golvelius?
No, he didn't have that. No. It was an earlier Master System game. So that much I do remember.
Maze Hunter or whatever it's called?
No, I never got to play any Sega Scope 3D stuff until much later.
Dang.
It was... And it wasn't stuff like Fantasy Zone or Space Harrier or Shinobi or anything like that.
I guess we can come back to that later if you think of it.
Yeah, if I think of it. Then again, I could be remembering it wrong.
That's fair.
But I remember him bringing that over to our place, and he turned that one on, and it's like, well, this is intriguing. It's like the first stage is set in a Japanese graveyard, apparently. And as you're going through, you're attacked by these, flaming skulls that, fly out in formation, and you got the skeletons come out of the ground and take a couple hits to beat, and these weird jumping monkey dudes and a bunch of giant bugs. And then at the end of that stage, you fight this ninja-looking guy who's got a Kusarigama.
Oh, yeah.
And he shows up repeatedly throughout the game.
My memory's rusty. Isn't that supposed to be like the warrior Benkei? That giant guy in the cloth from Genpei Tomaden?
No, that guy was a boss. This guy's like just a mini boss who shows up from time to time.
Okay.
But he'll sit there, he'll whirl his Kusarigama around, and he'll just throw it at you, wind it back, and usually you can beat him in like 2 or 3 hits. And if you're lucky, he'll drop a health cord so you can, get healed before you go to the next stage. Yeah, the next stage is where you fight the first real boss. That's that.
Yeah, that's the giant fire wheel guy, right?
That's the one. But you got to climb this decaying pagoda to get there.
Oh, yeah, cool level. Although I hate getting hit while I'm on stairs. I tell you what.
Knockback in that game is a serious thing.
It is one of the more frustrating elements I find. Not even Castlevania was this bad at it.
Yeah, because he'll stumble back a few steps, and then if you're at the right point on the stairs, it can be enough to, chuck you into a hole.
Yeah.
So that was.
And then Hayate just goes like blip blip blip, like on the steps, one at a time, which is it's kind of funny the first time, but like when you lose your fifth life due to just getting hit by some sort of like moth or whatever, then it gets a little bit oof.
You know the part that really pisses me off?
What's up?
It's in one of the waterfall stages where you're climbing on this fragmented bridge. You're going over, and these boulders keep raining down.
Oh.
And boulder hits you, you get knocked back. You're in the wrong place, you go down the waterfall. And then, of course, don't forget the training rooms.
Waterfalls. Oh.
If you really want to go and make the reference, sure.
No, I'm just going to grumble at the training rooms for now.
There's only one training room that I usually go through, and it just gives me a bit of a health boost. So
you can actually beat one of those with some consistency. I don't think I can even do that.
No, I was able to at one point, anyway.
Holy shit. I want to say I have done that at least once, but usually they're a big stopping point for me. And I know they're not mandatory to beat the game, but, the meter boosts that you get are pretty nice, and some of the main stages get hectic enough to warrant it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's honestly, to finish the game and do it without losing all your lives, it's best if you have that one life bar boost at least. Plus, you find the Warlock Lord that has the Dragon Sword.
Nice.
Because that'll just max out your sword's power, and you'll never lose it, even if you die.
Good deal.
Definitely beat the bosses that give you the abilities to slash with your sword and also jump and slash.
Yeah, that's right. Did you mention that bosses give you special abilities after you beat them?
I did not, actually. The spinning fire wheel, that's the first one that you mentioned. He'll give you a high jump ability.
That's right.
And as you go further through, you'll see there's a lot of weird bosses in that game. But there's some really, really freaking cool ones, too. Like the giant flaming skull.
I find Japanese mythology very inventive, so like yokai and oni and Jackie and whatever the fuck have you.
Mm-hmm.
I always love that type of shit, so...
There is that downward slash that you have. That can actually rip a few of the bosses up.
Yeah, it's a very Zelda 2-ass move.
You mean the one where you jump and slash, or where you just push up on the control pad and attack?
Yeah, that one. Reminds me of the upward thrust a bit.
Well, it's pretty lethal.
Nice.
And, but once you have all that stuff, say I mentioned, okay. There was the life boost, the dragon sword. Also helps if you find a magic pouch.
Oh?
Yeah, there's one in the cave stage where there's 2 exits at one point, and by one of them you'll see what looks like Alex Kidd's head, in the background.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I remember that weird little detail.
Yeah, and that's there for a reason. You go down there to that bottom one, go through the door, fight a couple things, you'll get a magic pouch, and that will automatically refill your life when you die. So it's
Good
like
deal.
Game will freeze for a second, your life will be refilled, and you just go on fighting. So if you have all that stuff, you can actually take out Yonensai. And he's still a pain in the ass to this day.
He's got 3 forms, right?
Yeah, the first one is kind of the whole warlock floating wizard thing which shoots out the fireballs. Then he turns... Actually, it might just be 2 forms. I think it's the second form where he's like this giant warrior. First you have to knock off his mask, then you have to beat him in the face, and then you have to whack his skull to death.
That's the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, boulders are raining down. He's shooting these energy waves at you, which can just tear you up. It's doable. In fact, I think it was the first Master System game I ever finished.
Well, I appreciate it when a final boss gives you a legitimate challenge. some games feel like they just tend to unceremonious out on you in the 11th hour, for
Mm-hmm.
better or worse. So,
And even better, the ending is actually worth seeing.
yeah,
It's not
I
just
remember there was a lot of fire.
yes. So before we could go into the next game here, that's basically Kincaid in a nutshell. I recommend it. Jay, if you heard that, I suggest playing Kincaid on one of your streams one night. But before we go into that, Jay also asks, hopefully everyone's doing well. I'm doing all right. I've been worse. I've been better. But I'm doing all right.
Decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing okay enough, I think. I think you're our only audience member, but that's okay because
Other people,
again,
they'll drift in.
yeah, I should think so. Even so, like this, I understand that this is a test stream and it's not Ninja Gaiden, so
Right.
not to put us down. I should think we're magnetic enough to warrant our own audience, but if the fates tell us otherwise, then well, they can fuck off.
Actually, I'd
Oh,
say
well.
we're rather boring.
Yes, old chum, quite.
So, I know you're at work, but I hope you're doing all right too, Jay.
Yeah, ain't work fan fucking tastic.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
So, that said, you mentioned before we started the stream that you wanted to talk about a game. Did you want to do this one
yes.
right now or save it?
Well, I was gonna start off with it, but since you started with Ken Saden, I almost feel like talking about what I think is, oddly enough to me, an immutable counterpart to that game, indirect though it is.
All right.
See if you can guess which one I'm thinking about.
Is it on the Master System?
It is, yes.
Then I know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. When on the OPCFG and Rob had mentioned games that he liked from the Master System, well, of course, we're both gigantic Castlevania fans, but him talking about these two games on the Sega Master System that were very Castlevania-esque certainly caught my interest, and yeah, I could buy Kenseiden as definitely being a Japanese Castlevania, but the other game mentioned is a lot more blatant, shameless, an absolute clone of Castlevania.
If you're
But
gonna
even then,
clone from the best.
I was going to say, yeah, like, plagiarism notwithstanding, at least Castlevania is a really fucking good formula to base your game off of. This title is known as Master of Darkness, aka Vampire Master of Darkness, aka In the Wake of the Vampire? I forget, like, what the locality... I just call it Master of Darkness. That's good enough.
Now, here's the thing. If you saw me mentioning the Master System game on the OPCFG, that must have been actually after I found out it existed as a Master System game, because for the longest time, I only knew it as a Game Gear game.
Yeah, the Game Gear release only came out to the States. The SMS release, I believe, was at least Japanese exclusive. I think it might have reached Europe, too.
No. No, by the time that came out, the Master System had long died in Japan.
Well, shit then.
It came out in Europe and Brazil.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The SMS got a longer lifespan in those countries. Like, no, Brazil really fucking latched onto the thing. It's actually really amazing and interesting.
I still remember sometime in the mid-90s, my friend Andre and I we're just channel surfing one day, and we come across this Spanish language game show. And it's like they're showing what the prizes are going to be, and all of a sudden they reveal that one of the prizes, and they're playing this to, I think, the throne room theme to Star Wars, is the
Really?
Master System. I'm like, wait, what? So I think the Saturn had come out by then,
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, the Master System's cool and all, but It feels a little bit like it's burying the lead, isn't it?
You should have seen the reactions from the people who were up to get it.
Oh.
They were jumping up and down. Like,
Oh, that's adorable.
mm-hmm. Hello, Sharon. Glad you made
Hey,
it.
Sharon. What up?
Yep.
But yeah, no, the SMS I do feel is a console that I could do to plumb some more myself, but I took very quickly the Master of Darkness because, yeah, it's basically Sega's take on Castlevania. I think it was also co-developed by like a subsidiary of theirs called Sims.
It was.
Or whatever. I forget what else they did, but I know that name's familiar.
I think they also did Ninja Gaiden.
That makes sense. No wonder I like it. I like the SMS Ninja Gaiden too. So, But yeah, premise of Master of Darkness is that you play the dorkiestly named protagonist ever, Dr. Ferdinand Social.
Wait. Before you make that claim, let's not forget good old Wink Barfield.
Good old Wink Barfield. Good old Phalanx. You know, I never beat Phalanx. I really need to do that someday. But I digress. One of the worst names for a hero ever. Dr. Social.
Also, don't forget Dr. Vincent Gilgamesh.
Yeah. And Player 2, which I titled Dr. Cecil Ashurbanipal, I think, in the nerdiest fucking reference I think I've ever made.
Something like that. Dr. Gilgamesh is from Time Slip for the Super NES, a game that desperately wants to be Contra 3, but fails at nearly every level.
That game is so painfully mediocre. I can tell you I'm not going to talk about that one in detail. No. Very what you see is what you get in that end. In contrast, Master of Darkness is much more successful at replicating the Castlevania formula, which maybe is slightly less complicated to pull off than Contra 3 was for its time, but nonetheless, it is definitely one of the best CV clones I know about. Basically, like, some spooky stuff happens around the Thames River. Dr. Social consults the Ouija board. It basically tells him bad shit be happening, yo. So he goes across very foggy and haunted London through a course of 5 stages, and is a quite decent play overall. The level structure is indeed quite Castlevania-ish. I know in a few of the earlier stages you cruise on these boats by the Thames, which is pretty neat. I do like its Britishness. It's much more unabashedly influenced by the Hammer horror films, even more so than Castlevania was, because it's like, I don't know, maybe you can imagine Dr. Social being played by a young Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee or what have you.
I can totally imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think Dr. Social would be... Peter Cushing would be Dr. Social, and Christopher Lee would be Count Masson, who's basically your arch rival. A rare boss who you actually fight 3 completely different times, and he has a completely different method of attack each time. I find that pretty fascinating. He is, of course, attempting to resurrect the even bigger vampire known as Dracula. Public domain being what it is, and hey, you fight Jack the Ripper at some point, because why not?
You wish to hinder me? Now, I will say one thing about this.
Yes.
One stage I absolutely loved, and I kind of hate the stage because of some bullshit traps they pull, but I love the idea they did this stage, the House of Wax Dolls.
That is probably the coolest stage, yeah. Where, wax dolls come to life and attempt to rush into you, and also, I believe portraits get possessed and fly around and try to smack into you.
Along with numerous other things, like candelabras and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a very Castlevania and Splatterhousey move, but, you know, I'm all for it. It's classic camp horror shit, and I fucking love that stuff.
But I just don't ever recall seeing anything, you know, Wax Museum related in any retro horror game at all.
Which is really weird because, you know, wax figures scare the shit out of me. I mean, I used to have nightmares about mannequins as a kid, so...
Ever been to an actual wax museum?
I was at the one in Gettysburg a really, really long time ago. I don't remember much from it. But,
I have visited at least 2 I can think of.
Yes.
One was a place, it was down in Florida, I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head. But they had wax figures. It was all like movies and television. So it was all dedicated to Hollywood. Going back to, the early, 30s, 20s, and whatnot. They had, like, Gone with the Wind, Dr. Zhivago, and so on and so forth. But they also had, at the time, this would have been the 80s, so I think the latest they had was the late 70s, early 80s. At one point, you actually walked into the Fortress of Solitude from Superman the movie.
That is really neat.
And a really scarily accurate version of Christopher Reeve was right there in a screen-used Superman suit.
That's really neat, yeah.
And you actually have to walk through the bunker's living room, too.
Bitchin'.
So, plus there was a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's been years. The other one was actually a horror wax museum.
Oh, nice.
The House of Frankenstein, up in Lake George, New York. That, I can't even describe how cool this place was.
Oh, nice.
It was like they had, there was one, a lot of the displays were interactive. There was one where it was like, the husband had been cheating on the wife, and the wife is serving him dinner. You press a button, she lifts up the cover on the tray she's carrying, and his mistress's head is there.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It was. It's still there, too. If I ever get back up there, I'm definitely going there.
Is this in New York, you say?
Lake George, New York.
Fuck. Yeah, I gotta get up there someday, too.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. I mean, I would think that, wax houses would be a more explored horror theme because, of the fucking Vincent Price movie House of Wax, for one thing. But it's just a really inventive theme to see in a game, and also the boss is like this very ornate, like, sort of pimped out dress lady figure who has a giant skull that flies out of her and just willy-nilly loops all over the screen. It's a pretty rad overall game, and I also find how its weapons are handled being interesting. You start out with a very crappy knife, but from the masks, which completely replace the candles from Castlevania, you can either get a rapier, which has good range and speed, but isn't too much more powerful than the knife. An axe, which is very powerful but has short range. And what I'm pretty sure is a cane, which is like the most balanced weapon between the rapier and the axe. Although I've also seen it called a hammer and a stake elsewhere, I think. I'm pretty sure it's a cane, though.
If I remember the instruction manual right, it is a cane.
Yeah, darn Skippy. I usually try to go with the cane when I can, but the other ones can be useful. However, just to be a dick, a few of the masks also have the fucking knife in them that you start with, which, you always want to avoid. They just... It's like how you should really avoid the dagger in old school Castlevania, except this is even worse because it's your main weapon. Imagine if you got like an inverted Belmont crest that just reverted you to the leather whip. That's basically what that's like.
That would suck. But if you think about it, that kind of happened in Castlevania the Adventure.
A fantastic fucking game to model your title off of, I'm sure. And also you got sub-weapons like pistols, bombs, and like these large stakes. There's, I think, one more that I can't remember.
Let's see, bombs, pistols, stakes.
Maybe a boomerang? Damn it, I forget the last.
It is a boomerang.
Okay, that wasn't. Okay. It's not a cross-a-rang, it's more of an actual boomerang, but nonetheless.
Exactly. And they're very generous with the health, though.
Yeah, that too. The health bottles that you find restore a frickin' lot of life. And you can take a lot of punishment, too. Granted, I think that maybe the game is also a little bit looser than its inspiration. Even if Dr. Social's a lot more hard-bodied than Simon or Trevor, the enemies can also be more erratic. The bats in this game really fucking suck compared to the ones from Castlevania.
Yeah, they do.
So, combine everything from the bats from that game mixed with the Medusa heads and the ravens, and make it somehow all more annoying than those put together. And then, there's your idea. It's bastards.
Mm-hmm.
But, you gotta have an obnoxious little fucker in there somewhere. I guess it's Castlevania law, whatever the case. But yeah, so the enemies can be more erratic, and I think you're more expected to take damage at points, so it's not quite as tightly designed as Castlevania 1 or 3. But it's still a really good time. If you're a Castlevania fan, definitely seek it out if you haven't played it by now. I do prefer the SMS version because it does have a larger screen real estate, but if you could only get the Game Gear version, which again in the West is the only one we actually got, then that's not bad at all. Definitely play it any way you can.
It was my favorite Game Gear game for the longest time.
Match.
And then I sold my Game Gear and all the games. That was the one I regretted losing the most.
I sold mine too, although I only had. Hey, Snarb, how's it going, man?
Yeah, Snarb. I'll say you're late. We started a half hour ago. Where you been, man?
Don't harsh him. I'm sure he's had his busy days.
You're harshing my buzz, man.
I was going to say that the only 3 games I had for the Game Gear was the first Sonic, aka your favorite Sonic game.
Yeah, I think everyone had that one, including me.
Surprising. Castle of Illusion, actually quite a good one. Regardless of my thoughts on Disney. And the classic Sega puzzle game Columns, which my mom actually really liked a lot.
I actually had a decent little collection myself, but go on.
Game Gear stream someday. Can a Game Gear sustain an entire stream? I wonder.
Possibly.
Well, we'll mull on it. Anyway.
Yeah, it's way off in the future anyway, so even if we talk about it now, it'll be all fresh again by the time we get there.
Yeah. But yeah, so Snarb, Rob started this by talking about Ken Satan, and I talked about Master of Darkness just now. We're just cruising through games that we like and probably aren't going to get any full-on streams, so hope you enjoy that.
So, yeah, Game Gears commit suicide. This is true. You got to really have them recapped and whatnot if you want to keep using yours.
Their hardware's not the best, huh?
No. But there's some really good.
Does it have some sort of internal battery expiration issues or whatever?
It's more the caps than anything else. The capacitors.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Betty loves her Game Gear.
Awesome.
And I actually, a couple of years back, had that sent to a guy I know to do a complete overhaul on it. So it was fully recapped, new screen, nice one too. It's nothing like the old ones. You can actually switch between different modes in it, like Game Gear, Master System, things like that. You can turn on scan lines if you want to.
Cool.
And it runs off the USB power now.
Very cool.
So, but yeah, I had a decent little collection because when I got my Game Gear, it was one of those things where I was working for the first real job, and I had no major bills, no car payments, or nothing like that. So I indulged. I bought the Game Gear, the Master Gear converter, so I could play my Master System games on it too. I played many a game of R-Type and Captain Silver on there.
Excellent.
But as far as the actual Game Gear games, let's see. There was Vampire, obviously. I had an import version of Outrun I got from somewhere.
Bitchin'.
And at some game store somewhere, I actually found some pirate multi-cart.
No shit.
It had Super Mario Brothers on it.
Well,
it was a weird version of Mario, but it was still Mario.
What was weird about it?
Level layout was completely different.
Interesting.
So it's much more challenging.
Almost kind of like a Kaizo hack, but maybe not that bad.
Yeah, just not what you were used to. Plus, there was a couple other games on there, too. I just can't remember what they were.
Strange.
But as far as, actually, U.S. released games, had Streets of Rage, had Chacon, the good version.
Snarb's fave.
Yeah, he likes the Genesis game. That's the bad
version. Forget if... Yeah. Down, 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 da, 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 da. Good old gems. Gotta love it. Gotta love hating it, rather.
Sharon, did you just call me dude? And I vaguely remember your collection. Not much, though. I also had Columns, Terminator. What else did I buy?
Hey, wait,
It was a nice stack.
Terminator on the Game Gear?
Yeah,
What was that like the Genesis version?
kind of. It was more of a just a downgraded version of the Master System version, which only came out in Europe.
And was that based on the Genesis version?
I think they were developed around the same time, but it wasn't very good in comparison. The Genesis game was better.
Alas.
I remember a couple games they did have. I had Space Harrier, Fantasy Zone Gear. I never got Ninja Gaiden,
Cool. Ah, darn.
but I had the Game Gear Shinobis.
Very nice.
For the life of me, I could not get into either of them.
That's a shame. I really like those two.
Yeah, it's like I expected. Maybe it was just my expectations were like, I'm expecting a miniature Revenge of Shinobi here, but they were very different. I've even tried to replay them in the years since, and it's just like I'm just not feeling it.
Well, I guess I can offer something of an explanation there. Basically, Shinobi by way of Mega Man, and of course, past Mega Man 2, you are seriously not a Mega fan, so
Nope.
it is what it is, I
Yeah.
suppose.
They're not bad games. Don't get me wrong. They're just not really my thing.
I feel the same way about Assassin's Creed. If you played one of those, you played them all. But let's not talk about Assassin's Creed ever again. Forget I mentioned it.
Well,
Anyway.
in that case, I'll say this: they're both
Yes?
better than the Cyber Shinobi.
Fucking shit. Bad.
We will
Shitty
be,
bad game.
we will be talking about the Shinobi series in depth coming up. Not
Yes.
in this stream, but
That's good.
a couple streams from now.
That's the good news. The bad news is that unfortunately includes Cyber Shinobi, but I guarantee you we'll only spend as much time on it as I was able to tolerate it, which was just 7 minutes. Fuck, we might not even need that long.
Cyber Shinobi, it sucked. Next.
Yes, exactly. That I can only hope that's what the result would be.
Yeah.
What a terrible piece of shit.
Yeah, I know. It's just anyway. I know I had a few more games for it, but I just cannot remember what they were.
That's okay.
But like I said, I got a lot of use out of that Master Gear converter.
I sure hope so, Davey.
Well, let's see. I mean, besides R-Type and Captain Silver, played a lot of Roston on there, Shinobi. God, what else? Kinsaiden, obviously. Afterburner.
Very nice.
Even tried out Phantasy Star.
Oh?
The text was a little on the small side, but it was still completely readable.
Sweet.
So, but yeah, and then Splatterhouse 3 came out, and I was broke, and I had to have it, so buy Game Gear.
Valid trade. That is, if there was a game to give that up for, I think you played a decent one there. So,
Hey, I knew what I had to do to get that, and I'm glad I did.
I mean, even back then, you were the Splatterhouse guy. It was meant to be.
Ever since I played the original. But,
Skippy.
This is just kind of getting me to kind of wax nostalgic a little bit about my experiences in the early 90s. Yeah, Sharon did have the original Master System. I remember how she had that set up in her room. I would go in there and play it from time to time if I wasn't using my power base converter.
Sweet.
No, there was the place that I got Splatterhouse 3 from. There's a little place called the Video Game Connection in Orange City, Florida. And the building's still there. They're they sell pool supplies now.
Oh.
But I can tell you, Braunley and I hung out there a lot because they always had something up to play. And in fact, I remember walking in there one day and they had the Turbo Duo up and running. And the game that was being played was Lords of Thunder.
Very good choice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Braunley took to that like a fish took to water.
I bet he won the shit out of it his first try.
He very nearly did.
Almost. Good. Mm-hmm. Sweet.
And there was another time I'd gone in there, and I'd rented Flashback, which I'd just gotten in.
Cool.
And I remember I brought it home. I'm playing. I was like, this is fantastic. I got to get my own copy. So when I
Yeah.
went to return it, I was like, I forget what the guy's name was who worked there, but yeah, we were on a first name base at this point. And I was like, hey, you got any more copies of Flashback? I kind of want to buy this now. And he's like, no, sold them all. Just have two copies for
Oopsies.
rental. You got one of them. And he's
Well,
like,
dick.
but get this. He's like, well, you like it that much, huh? Yeah. And you were the first person to rent that copy, so how about I sell you that copy and just deduct what you paid for the rental?
Wow. Cool
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, so got it basically brand new, complete in box.
Bitchin'.
And that was also the first place I ever remember seeing Gunstar Heroes.
The best Genesis game ever. And yes, we were talking. He was talking about Flashback. So.
Yeah, just how I got my original copy, which I kind of wish I still had.
I do recall that I rented Out of This World when I was very young, and I don't think I got much farther than breaking out of the cage.
Yeah.
In fact, I was surprised I was even able to get past those fucking like scratch slugs or whatever.
Yeah, that comic was cool, Snarb. The Out of This World, I actually did not play on the Genesis until many years later. Bromley rented it once for the Super NES.
Oh, neat.
But let's see, there was a couple other well, that same Video Game Connection place is where I got my Game Gear, my Master Gear converter, and Streets of Rage for that matter.
All right.
And also, I distinctly remember going and buying Cybernator from them.
All right.
And right before they closed down, because they closed down a few months after this happened, I'm pretty sure, got my copy of Shinobi 3.
Yeah, well, at least that was a good last one to get out of it.
Yeah, I guess just place was kind of, back in an area people didn't really expect to find a game store in, so I think location killed them.
Location, location, location.
Well, that also almost happened to our friend Teresa, who runs the Cupcake Cafe.
Oh no, when was this?
Well, her original shop was in a kind of like step back behind a restaurant, a little plaza in, place that nobody cares about, even though it's right across from a post office. And she did shut down for a few years, but then she reopened in a new location with a lot more traffic, and she's been doing great ever since.
I'm not sure if I'm ever going to open up my own business ever, but I am going to keep that in mind if I somehow do.
Oh, yeah, get a good, heavily trafficked location.
Can I build, like, a lemonade stand right next to that giant statue of Jesus in Rio de Janeiro?
You gotta check with their government for building permits and stuff. So, I'm not the person to ask.
Oh, decent idea. Yeah. I gotta learn Portuguese first, but yeah.
Anyway, another thing I bought at the Video Game Connection. You're gonna love this. My very first TurboGrafx 16. Turbo CD.
Yes.
And Splatterhouse.
That had better be your first game you got for the thing.
Of course it was.
I would have been disappointed if it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it also came with Keith Courage. But
of course it did.
I specifically requested Splatterhouse when I bought it all. Like
Thanks,
I said,
Skippy.
I had money and no bills at the time.
Yeah. Those halcyon days.
Yeah. I want them back. I want a refund. That was like 30 some odd years ago now.
Yeah, me fucking too. Ugh.
Yeah. But it was a fun place to go. Saw a lot of neat things up there for the first time that I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, but I think one thing I actually did play there once was the Genesis version of Batman Return of the Joker.
That is a bad port.
Yes, it is. And I found that out pretty quickly.
Bogus.
Ugh, it's terrible. Anyway, it's occurred to me, though. We've got all this NES imagery up here, but we have not talked NES at all.
Well, I was going to talk about an NES game, but yeah, I mean, you started off with Ken Satan, and then I went to Master of Darkness, so I think it swings back around to you for now.
Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and maybe talk about, I'm going to talk about the game that's representing me on the background.
Oh, go for it.
Kabuki Quantum Fighter. AKA, I can't remember the name of it for the Famicom, but it's long and unwieldy.
Jigoku Gokuro Makuro
Yeah, that.
something like that. The first word was Jigoku. That much I can tell you for sure. But
Well, I remember the first
yeah,
time I ever saw it. Bromley had rented it from Video Plus, and he tore that game up.
of course he did. I'm almost certain about it.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Okay, it just reconnected, but we made it. We made it almost an hour in.
Well, that's better than last time, but I'm still disappointed that it's happening. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what happens from here. That's why this is a test stream.
Yeah. So I'm glad we did this.
Yeah. So if it starts really acting up, I'll be back on the phone with my internet provider support tomorrow, saying hello. But
You got
buffering can happen to anybody. I've seen even Eugene's streams have had issues sometimes. So just cross your fingers.
more like technical shiticulty. No, that doesn't. Forget I said that.
All right, Snarb, what was the last thing you remember me and Mike saying? If you experience any of the following side effects, such as illness, massive bowel movements, or death, please consult a physician. Oh no, Bromley, he'd played Kabuki Quantum Fighter. Yeah, you're talking about the Japanese one there. Jigoku Makamura, something. That's Ghosts and Goblins. Anyway.
I just had a terrible thought.
What was that?
You know what you could say about Bromley in this case?
Do tell.
He did it all for Kabuki. I'm going to shoot myself now.
Mike. You know what that means, don't you?
Yes! Jesus Christ. Why am I... My frustration is palpable.
I can tell.
Anyway, how about that sports team?
Oh, yes, the Boston Frogs from...
Double dribble.
Yes. Yes, Snarb, I'm actually aware of that. And why should I be proud? I'm not even from Florida.
Yeah. I mean, their first three albums were actually very good. I'm not going to lie. I am kind of nostalgic for that music now.
I'm going to say 2.5 were okay.
Chocolate Starfish kind of lost you halfway in.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. They did get a little... That is definitely the height of Fred Durst's ego. So.
Yes, Snarb. I just live here.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so,
No, I'm from Connecticut. I just work in Florida.
So Bromley really liked Kabuki Quantum Fighter. What else? Jesus.
Well, I thought it was really good. And when I ended up renting it for myself, usually when he rented a game, no, but I can leave. Usually when he rented a game, I would sit there and watch him finish it, and then maybe try it if I was still awake.
Nice.
So, I wanted to see the ending. And he was that good. I mean, I saw him go through so many games. Blaster Master, which I still have never finished. Bionic Commando, Guardian Legend.
Very nice.
So, Kabuki Quantum Fighter was another one of those.
You know, I do have to ask, did he ever attempt Cobra Triangle?
Yes, he did. He owned it.
Did he beat it?
I do not know off the top of my head. I can ask him.
Yeah, do ask him if you get the chance, because I won't blame him if he didn't. That's just like, not something that mortal man is accustomed to. But if he does, I'm going to respect and hate him forever.
You're going to love this, though. He actually won it as a prize in a contest.
No shit.
And it was
wow.
It was a Nintendo contest that ran at one of our local stores. Right around the time I moved down there, I didn't hear about it until later.
Hmm.
But, and get this, he had his choice of games.
Really now?
He picked Cobra Triangle. Do you know what he passed up?
Let me just take a wild fucking guess.
Go ahead.
What's brain? Ninja Gaiden 2, for some reason, is the only thing I can think of.
You are close, and the only reason you're close is because at that time Gaiden 2 wasn't out yet.
Okay. What's that?
The original.
Wow! I was really fucking close.
Yes.
Jeez.
He passed that up in favor of Cobra Triangle. I remember him saying to me later on, he's like, probably should have gone with Ninja Gaiden.
Fucking rare. Wow, I'm semi-psychic. Out of all the NES games, I could have guessed. I'm actually kind of impressed at myself. Well, I mean, I guess maybe it's also kind of on the brain because we attempted the Ninja Gaiden stream last week, so...
Well, since you mentioned Ninja Gaiden 2, I will tell you a little story. First time I played the game was when my younger brother Ryan got a copy. Which he later traded for Mega Man.
The original Ninja Gaiden, or wait, is this Ninja Gaiden or Cobra Triangle you're talking about?
And he traded Ninja Gaiden 2 for Mega Man.
I will admit, for as much of a Mega Man fan as I am, I do consider that a bit of a setback. I don't want to dump on the original. I still really like the first Mega Man.
Yeah, me too.
But it is kind of a rough cut of a game compared to 2 and several onward.
Mm-hmm. But he played 2 and liked it, and he wanted to have the original one. So,
hey, fair deal.
Hey, he wasn't crazy about Ninja Gaiden 2. Yeah, meanwhile, Bronley and I are all like, this is great. Here's another fun story for you.
Yes.
If it wasn't for him, I never would have played Monster Party.
Oh, yeah. We've got Mark and Bert on here, too.
Oh, yeah. Had to put them both there. But he bought Monster Party. I think he got that. I got a game myself at the same time, and I can't remember what one.
Really now?
Yeah, I know at one point, the Proto. It's nice to actually be able to see all the original bosses.
Yeah, like how the spider was originally a very nice, freakish take on the Norris Thing head, a.k.a. You gotta be shitting me from the Thing.
It's weird.
Or was it you gotta be fucking kidding. I can't remember the exact line now. That might have been it, yeah. God, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. But,
oh, yes.
See, many times our parents would take us out to Toys R Us, and we'd each be able to get a new game.
Yes.
Like, I remember once, I think I got Mario 2, he got Zelda.
Cool.
And, of course, we play each other's games, too, so we were winning.
Match.
I distinctly remember, I think it was the day that I got Back to the Future. He got The Adventures of Dino Ricky.
Better game than Back to the Future.
Definitely, but
I'm still not a huge fan of that
we
one.
both kind of lost that day.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, but he bought Monster. He got Monster Party once, and I got something else. Be damned if I can remember.
Castle Quest.
No.
Of all fucking games. I have no idea.
I wish I could remember which one it was, but I will tell you this, Snarb. I did trade Back to the Future away at the first opportunity I had, and I got a copy of Robo Warrior for it.
Hey! That's actually a childhood favorite of mine.
Good old Bomber King, a.k.a. Suicide King.
Whoa. Well, I can see why we didn't get that name in the West.
No, that's the Japanese nickname for it. Japanese players actually nicknamed it Suicide King instead of Bomber King.
Because it's really easy to damage yourself horribly with your own bombs.
Yes.
I only learned after the fact that it was actually kind of a spin-off of Bomberman, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Have you heard this?
It is actually a spin-off of Bomberman.
The funny thing is, that really fucking goddamn terrible 7th gen piece of shit called Act Zero that has the
Oh
Bomberman
God.
name on it?
Yes.
I keep thinking that, a sort of like Mega Man X more serious take on Bomberman isn't necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, because we did already get a game like that. It's just, that game also wasn't unnecessarily gritty for the sake of grittiness. It just...
All right, now Sharon's before you go on,
sorry.
Sharon's asked a question.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Okay, I do not recall ever getting a Nintendo game in any of our stockings. I do recall getting Atari 2600 games in our stockings, though.
Oh wow!
Now, I do know we got Nintendo games for Christmas, but they were wrapped up with the other presents. And it was one of those things where, in her and Ryan's case, it was the person you least expect who got the game that you wouldn't think they would have gotten.
Yes, how's that?
Well, one would think... Okay, I don't remember that at all. The one I'm talking about, though, is the year, Sharon, that you got Double Dragon, Ryan got Bubble Bobble.
Cool.
Yet, those were the games they wanted. So, hey. Oh. Me, I got Simon's Quest.
All three of those are games I like a lot.
Yeah.
So,
we all won.
All three of those are also games I grew up with as a result of my brother's rental store clean-out deal. Those are just three that I've always had.
Yep.
Although it's funny that I've had Castlevania 2 and 3 and Double Dragon 2 before I ever got the original Castlevania or Double Dragon. And it was a shame that I missed out on the original Castlevania at first. I mean, I got it later when I was like just 10 years old, and it was a fantastic purchase. The original NES, the NES port of Double Dragon is a real weird ball of a game, to say the least. It's not a bad one, though, mind. No. Although I would say at this point that, yes, the Sega Master System version is... Sorry, my phone. Is definitely the superior way to play that, so...
Now...
But I digress.
This is an action game for Nintendo. You had to decide which way to go in the game. You had a sword. Well, that describes about 17,000 Nintendo games. Can you be a little more specific?
Yeah, if you can think of any further details, that would probably be for the best. But
I mean, right off the top of my head, I could say Zelda.
Yeah. Zelda, Willow,
Zelda
that
2.
other one.
Crystallis.
Uh-huh. Actually, yeah, was it Crystallis? That might be a fair call for it. But
I don't remember either. I remember having Crystallis, but then again, I didn't know their game collection as well as I did mine.
Well, that's fair.
We got really off track with Kabuki Quantum Fighter, though. That was
yeah.
I remember playing the game, thought it was really cool, returned it to the video store, didn't think about it again for years.
Oops.
But then I picked it up and it was like, oh yeah, this game is actually pretty bitchin'.
It is, yes.
So much
it can, in some ways, be a bit of a pain in the ass, but...
Yeah. But I
Sorry, go
finished
ahead.
it. Maybe
That's
one
fair.
day. Maybe not. But...
Do you remember how far you got, at least?
Nope.
That's fair.
It's been a while since I played it, too, so...
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've beaten it myself, but I remember mostly being thoroughly enamored and entranced by it. Maybe there was a few too many cave levels in it, and I will admit, I'm really not crazy about the fact that you had to be a certain level to even damage some of the bosses, and you wouldn't know this until you fought them, so you will have to actually just die or reset if you're not up to the right level. Also, this does beckon some grinding. If there is one major thing I could fix about the game, it would be to cut down the grinding and or at least make the level more obvious. But aside from that foible, it is one of the better action RPGs on the system.
Okay, you're talking about Crystallis. For a second, I thought you were talking about Kabuki Quantum Fighter. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like that at all.
Oh, no, sorry. I didn't actually mean to talk about Crystallis next, but, I guess I could elaborate more since I'm here.
Go for it.
Yeah, so you play this very purple guy whose hair looks like a helmet. I thought that for the longest time for some reason. And it's actually an interesting premise that's not too dissimilar to the LucasArts adventure game Loom. You take place in a post-apocalyptic future where all the cool technology and stuff got blown the fuck up. So you're basically back to what is more or less kind of like the medieval era or the Renaissance at the very latest. It's like there's no major cities anymore. Everything's just like shacks and huts and whatnot. But so yeah, technology is out, magic is in, and well, I'm a little bit loose on the story. There's an evil emperor, and there's like, he's trying to take over the world. It's pretty straightforward, and I think the translation, the NES, could be kind of dicey at some points, but the game just had a really neato atmosphere to it. And also, two of the characters were called Tina and Kenzo as a... oh yeah, right. This game was actually developed by SNK, of all people, and but at the time, I think it was like the boldest project they've ever done. These arcade... mostly they made arcade games prior, and... Of course, they farmed some of their arcade ports out to Micronix, and they're some of the shittiest fucking games ever on the system.
Name which one on screen represents Micronix right now.
That's right. There's Arthur there. Arthur's on here because we love Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts, not because Micronix is any damn good whatsoever, bastards.
They made Super Pitfall, therefore they're dead to me.
Barf. Anyway, but yeah, Chrysalis just moves like really fast. Your guy, who I think is technically nameless, he's one of those like name him wherever you want or whatever. I could just call him Crystallis, but no, I'm pretty sure that's the name of like spoilers, like the super secret sword you get at the end of the game. So
you know what I call him?
But what do you call him?
Purple-haired Adol.
Yeah, he is. This game does feel kind of Ys-ish in its construction, except it doesn't have the bumping. You do actually have to swing your sword. You can also hold your sword, and it'll shoot projectiles if you charge them. And you get even bigger projectiles later that can like destroy certain walls or like build ice bridges. Throughout your quest, you get 4 different elemental swords, and certain enemies are weak to certain types of swords. Although it's a little bit of a weird system because, like, the wind sword you start out with is clearly much less powerful than the thunder sword you end up with. But, like, even late game, there are a few enemies that are only vulnerable to the wind sword, and they take longer to kill than anything that's vulnerable to the thunder sword at that point. So it's not perfect. There's some imbalance there. Like the game is a bit of a rough cut, but like I said, I don't think SNK... Unless, to my knowledge, there's some really obscure game before this they worked on. But I don't think SNK ever worked on an action RPG at all, or any game of this magnitude before. So that they did as well as they did with it when they had, I think, purely been an all-action company beforehand is very impressive, to say the least.
Yeah,
it's got... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I will say about Crystallis is that apparently it's connected to Athena.
That makes some sense.
Well, you remember the little slimes that run around, right?
Oh, yeah. They're
They're from Athena.
Right. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And as I said, Athena is one of the 4 sages in the game that you contact. It was Athena and Kensu and Zebu and... I forget, was the other guy named Tor or Strom or whatever? Or was he even one... It's been a long time since I played the game. My memories are kind of rusty, but...
Same.
I do remember that you talk to rabbits at some point. You ride a dolphin. One of the earlier bosses is a complete ripoff of those giant bugs from Nausicaa, of all things, which is really fucking cool. Yeah, the Omu. It is a 1-to-1. Like, I'm surprised that Ghibli didn't sue them.
Yeah. They would have sued a lot of people, like Hori Electric for blatantly ripping off some of Castle in the Sky and Run Saber.
Oh yeah, that giant robot you fought was kind of like the shit. You're right.
And even the
Huh.
stage resembles, part of Castle in the Sky.
Well, fuck.
And
I'm
they
gonna have to keep that in mind if I play that game again.
and they'd also have to sue Konami for their Daytona Twinbee.
Also, that yes.
So
Actually, no, I forget what in Twinbee ripped off Ghibli, but
it was so inspired by Ghibli movies like Castle in the Sky in certain stages. And
cool.
apparently their goal was to make an anime shooter. I think they succeeded. Wait, you had the magic of Scheherazade?
Whoa, really?
I didn't even know that.
Wow, that's a good. It is a similar but different experience to Crystallis. Like the biggest thing I can think of is that, and I can't think of many games that did this at the time. Sometimes you fight enemies on the overhead on the screen like it was Zelda, but sometimes you also get into Dragon Quest-esque turn-based battles, and I can't think of any other game that blended those two mediums quite that distinctly before.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you as much about Scheherazade as I can Crystallis, but that one's very much worth playing as well.
Okay, and to address the recent disconnect, yes, that's the second time it's happened. But
Oh, I didn't even realize that thing. Oh,
I thought you did actually.
no, I somehow I didn't. No, that fuck.
Well, it happened, so we'll see if this keeps up. If not, if we're actually able to get through with maybe only having one more or two more interruptions, we'll go until about 11.
Okay. Well, in that case, I still didn't get to talk about the game I wanted to, so you talk about another one, and then I'll hopefully get to that one.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Vice Project Doom.
Well, that is where my guy comes from, Quinn Hart. I don't know if he has a different name in the Japanese version Gun Deck, but...
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
You're shitting
judging
me.
by the cover art.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's... yeah, no, I remember that now. That's blatant. Kind of really blatant, but in an amusing way.
I'm going to leave that one to you. That was a joke. So...
Oh.
Sharon has actually reminded me of something else that I wanted to talk about.
What's that?
Well, she mentions here about how they each gotten a copy of Scheherazade from our parents. And I remember it was a story that I wrote about in the upcoming version of Memoirs where Ma surprised us with another Nintendo game, this time for me and Ryan. She used to really be a big fan of the Home Shopping Network. And I guess they were selling a game one day, and she bought it. And when I first saw it, I didn't know if it was an actual Nintendo game or whatnot, like like a licensed one, or if it was unlicensed. And then I saw the seal and all that. So okay, it's real, but what is it? Never heard of it. So started playing it. It's like, you know what? This is pretty damn fun.
Yes.
Guerrilla War.
Speaking of SNK, wow, good choice.
So I kind of had that in the back of my head from your Crystallis.
AKA the game that Akari Warriors should have fucking been.
Oh, I got a story about Akari Warriors.
Oh shit.
It's not a long one.
Okay.
I remember being in Video Plus one day. And I'm looking through their selection of Nintendo games, and I see this one. It's got a couple of badass looking commandos on the cover, and there's monsters and stuff. And I'm like, oh wow, this looks cool. And it was Ikari Warriors 2 Victory Road. And I took the box and I looked at it, and then I put it back and kept looking.
Good.
Dodged a bullet there.
You really fucking did. I appreciate the fake out. I would have been mortified if you had ever touched that terrible... Like, I would have considered you infected and unsavable. Like a zombie plague.
Well, to be fair, when I did finally play the game, I actually did own a copy.
Really?
But it was the Famicom version.
Oh, really?
It was one of those things where one of the places, a shop that doesn't exist anymore, they had a deal: buy 3 Famicom games get the fourth one free.
Cool.
So, even though I knew how bad Ikari Warriors was from hearing about it from you, I was like, I've never really played it, so okay. Oh, and they've got Ikari 3, and here's a game I want, and what's going to be my fourth game? What the hell? Why not 2? They have that here too. The only one I still have is 3. I got rid of the first 2.
Yeah, 3. Ikari 3 on the NES is much better than it has any right to be. I still wouldn't call it a spectacular game, but compared to the prior to NES ports, and actually compared to the original arcade version, which also sucks, that the NES Ikari 3 actually pretty good, a pretty decent beat 'em up for what it is.
What about all the graceful pirouetting and ballet moves?
And yes, also the soldiers look like they're Spandau balleting you when they do their spinning jump kicks. So,
it's like a military version of West Side Story.
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, the opening of level 2 even sounds like okay, well, not exactly like that, but it just feels like it should go like they're doing like the greaser sort of snap thing, and then they're jump kicking at you in perfect synchronized it's unison. It's a very ridiculous and out of pocket sight, but
see, here's my theory, is that they actually wanted to make some kind of a dance related game.
You think so?
But they figured that wouldn't sell, so if they disguised it as a sequel to Ikari Warriors, then maybe it would. I don't think it did.
Well, I guess rhythm games weren't in so much the big thing back then, but if they tried
back then.
Yeah, I was going to say if they tried again a decade later, maybe it would have went somewhere.
Yeah. But getting back to the good SNK War Game project, not counting Iron Tank, Guerrilla War.
Oh, Iron Tank's a great one, yes.
Oh, Iron Tank is one of my all-time favorites.
Love it, man.
Yes, that was one of the first NES games I ever played.
Yeah, one I grew up on, and it's still awesome today. I consider it like a somewhat slower, more strategic counterpart to Jackal, also one of the best games on the system.
Mm-hmm.
But, any way you slice it, War has never been so much fun.
Yeah. In fact,
as they say in cannon fodder. But that's
I can distinctly recall the first batch of NES games I played.
Oh, what's that?
Well, obviously, there was Mario Duck Hunt.
Cool.
There was Track and Field 2.
Very nice.
Ghosts and Goblins.
Of course.
Freedom Force.
Oh, really good light gun game.
Yeah. Hogan's Alley.
Classic light gun game.
Mario 2.
The best Mario on the NES. I refuse to hear otherwise.
Exactly. And Iron Tank.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't even encounter half of the really, really great series until later. But yeah, Iron Tank kept me going.
I should hope so. That game's just really fucking good.
Every chance I got to play that, I would. But,
Nice.
Shortly before we moved to Florida originally, I did pretty much play Contra and Ninja Gaiden almost back to back.
Excellent.
Also, Sharon, where was what? While she's responding. Yes, Guerrilla War. That game is great. So,
I'm a little bit disappointed in the lack of primates in it, but I guess you can't have everything.
Wrong gorillas.
I know. I'm just being
hang on.
Oh, fun times.
And we're back up. That's 3 times so far.
Oh,
not looking
well, God. Oh.
Anyway, what 3-for-1 deal are you talking about, Sharon? While she's responding. Where were they? Guerrilla War. Father. Yeah. He came out of the room just as I'd finished a stage. So you know that little map screen you get? In between stages? Do you remember mentioning a 3-for-1 deal, Mike? Oh, wait. I remember now. There was a place called Japan Game Stock that are no longer around. So the map screen's up, and he looks at it, and he's like, That looks like Cuba. I was like, yeah, I guess it kind of does. Actually, it was. what
Yep.
what we didn't know about guerrilla war is that it was actually in Japan called Guevara.
Yep.
And player 1 is Che Guevara, and player 2 is Fidel Castro. And you're trying to overthrow the Batista government in the 1960 or so.
What a fucking bonkers idea. That's not something that would have flown in the States as it was, because we had basically my concept of politics in this district is very rusty, but pretty sure we considered Cuba persona non grata because we hated Castro back then, I guess. So
yes, and Sharon, they were located in Japan, but they're out of business now.
Dang.
So, but yeah, Cuba's always been a bone of contention with the U.S. ever since the '60s.
Yep. I'm not going to get into it because I don't nearly know enough about it, and it's probably a real hotbed to tread anyway. But
that's okay. Let's go back about 20 years before that.
Sure.
But bringing it back up to the whole NES thing, I distinctly remember playing the first, I guess you could say, real-time strategy or turn-based strategy or whatever you want to call it, that I actually enjoyed. Mainly because the campaigns were so short. It was an innocuous little game called Desert Commander for the NES.
Yeah. One by Kenco, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. One of their first 2 games, that and Shadowgate. I love Shadowgate.
Nice. I fucking love Shadowgate too.
So I remember playing this game. You're in some unnamed desert somewhere, controlling some faction. You're fighting against another one. Looks vaguely World War II-ish. Except upon further research years later, it doesn't just look vaguely World War II-ish. It's set in World War II. The original Japanese version is called, I forget the full title, but basically Desert Fox. Rommel.
Speaking of things that wouldn't fly in the States,
have you ever seen the cover art to that game?
Isn't Hitler actually on it?
No, you're thinking of Dyson Ryako, I think.
Oh shit, you're right.
No, on the front of that, it's a very nice picture. Don't get me wrong, well done. But above this, squadron of tanks out in the desert is Rommel's head, right next to a Nazi flag. And
well,
if you're playing a single player campaign in that game, you are playing as Rommel.
Holy Christ.
I finished the game once. I got a letter of commendation from Hitler himself.
Holy fucking shit.
Right with his seal on it and everything. So I'm like, okay, can't feel a little dirty now. I just blew away a whole bunch of British.
Well,
you can tell too, because when you start the game, like in the American version, the base camps for both your side and the enemy side are just represented by these hats. Well, not so much in that one. The British side is represented by the Union Jack, and Rommel is represented by a giant swastika. So yeah, good on Kemco to go ahead and take all the references out, because it's still a really good game.
Yeah, it's nice being able to play a game that also, makes you a not fascist person. Like, I got nothing. What do I even fucking say?
You can make up your own story. Say it's the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire if you want to.
I mean, yeah, that pretty much is what Star Wars is.
Yeah. Although, a funny story about that, too, the whole hat thing. I was playing this game in front of my kids when they were much younger. And my youngest, she was really little at the time. And I'm getting my troops in a position to go ahead and just blitz the enemy headquarters. And she sees me starting to surround them. And my oldest is like, well, what do you have to do? It's like, you see a hat there? I got to attack it. And at that point, my youngest starts jumping up and down. She's getting really excited. And she goes, yeah, yeah, smudge the hat, smudge the hat. Smudge the hat? Yeah, smudge the hat. In short order, I smudged the hat.
Fuck you, hat.
Yeah, you've been smudged.
Smudge is a funny word if you say it a lot.
Yes, it is.
Smudge, 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 smudge.
Kind of reminds me.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it reminds me of a couple of Calvin Hobbes comic strips where they were, where Hobbes was going off on words he liked to say. Like, I like to say quark, 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 quark. What's wrong with you?
Smudge, also weird fucking guy. Smudge sounds like the name of some like mid late 90s alts post grunge group, if that makes sense.
Appearing live in concert opening for Alice in Chains. Smudge. I could see that.
Yeah. What genre is Sponge? Because I was kind of thinking of them.
Post grunge.
Okay, that is post grunge. Okay,
So basically alternative.
Yeah, yeah.
And Sharon is right. We did have a cat named Smudgy at one point, although his real name, as far as I'm concerned, was Dumb. See? We renamed him Dumb. Anyway, so where were we originally?
Desert Commander, Rommel, the cut bad
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. See, I had an onion tied to my belt because it was a style at the time.
Damn it.
Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, Guerrilla War was changed from Guevara. Desert Fox was changed to Desert Commander. That's Rommel was called the Desert Fox.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yes, we named the cat Dumb. Hey, Prime.
What's up, man?
I hate to tell you this, but it's a good thing this is a test stream. We've had a few interruptions so far.
3, unfortunately, which I think is too many, honestly.
Oh, I agree. But, you know, at least the first one didn't happen until almost an hour in. So.
Yeah. It is better than last week, but I don't know. Rob's going to have to determine whether or not we're ready for prime time.
Well, I think another call my internet provider will be happening tomorrow.
That makes sense.
So, anyway. So, yeah, Guerrilla War, really fun game. Glad we got it, even if it was heavily censored for our protection.
This is a case where I don't really mind the censorship, to be honest.
I actually think it's the best overhead running gun on the NES.
It's a really fucking good one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure that running guns really super flourished until the 16-bit era, but yeah, early on, I'm not sure I can really think of any better that there were.
Well, it's
on
certainly
that system.
It's better than Micronix Porta Commando.
That is one of the less shitty Micronix games, but man, there's just so much flicker on it. Oh my god, it's kind of an eyesore.
It kind of jumps too. Did you ever notice that? Like the scream will jump.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah, it's pretty jittery overall.
Yes, jittery. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And of course, let's not forget that Taito did release a version of Frontline for the Famicom.
Taito, I love you, but this game very much reads like a first draft. I'm sorry.
Well, it was.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that and the whole, I cannot get over that dude's walking animation.
He's like his legs are bananas. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. I kind of figured you would have, Sharon. Had Unlimited continues.
Good old banana legs. Yeah, I appreciate. Some might say that makes the game a little bit too easy, but compared to Akari Warriors giving you no continues and a very, very fucking inconsistent continue code, I prefer to be able to actually reach the end of the fucking game. So
I
that's
know what
my
you
opinion.
mean. And yes, Sharon. Unless you played the arcade Guerrilla War somewhere and didn't tell me. Hey, but you know, just thinking about it though, all SNK's different war game projects, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
Remember POW?
I do, yeah. Not a bad game, although that's a case where I think I like the NES one more than the arcade one.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, but the arcade one's bad. The NES one just feels fairer, and it has a lot more boss fights in it. I think the arcade one only ever had one actual boss fight, which is kind of strange for a beat 'em up, in my opinion. But,
Was it the last boss?
uh, kind of, sort of. It was actually he actually wasn't the very last boss. He's like the enemy commander, and he shot at you with a pistol. But there is still like one or two more stages to go after him. He was also, however, in the NES game, but the NES game put an actual final boss, which is like this huge hulking super soldier that like, jumps around and dive kicks you. But my memory is a little rusty on them. It's just I remember the NES game felt a lot more expanded compared to the arcade version. So,
Although,
underrated beat 'em up though. It's no Double Dragon 2, but I think it's pretty good for what it is.
thinking back to a conversation we had recently, that's another game that would not have existed, I think, without the influence of First Blood Part 2.
Which you actually recently saw.
Yes, I did. Somehow I managed to miss all the Rambo movies.
Somehow. I mean, considering you grew up in the 80s, that really surprises me, but
You gotta
at least
figure,
you broke...
I didn't have a lot of friends up there at the time, and my mom had an iron grip on the VCR. So
yeah,
we weren't renting a lot of R-rated
was...
stuff. Hey, the Lorax.
Oh shit, the Lorax himself. He speaks for the trees. I'm sorry if that's a condescending comment. I had to, but I really like the Lorax. Just so you know.
Well, anyway, Snarb, I'll say this: I enjoyed the second one. I thought it was a logical continuation of the first one because they clearly saw what he could do in First Blood and figured, hey, this is the guy we need to go back into Vietnam and get our POWs out.
Yeah, First Blood Part 2 is pure fucking wish fulfillment compared to how relatively grim and downtrodden First Blood was, but for what it does, I think it does it well, so...
I will say one thing, though. I had to dock it a couple of points because of the lack of giant spiders.
Fucking dork.
Yeah, I was led to believe there would be giant spiders in that movie because I played the game.
The Rainbow NES game is so fucking trippy. Like, I never got very far in it because honestly, I find it kind of confusing to navigate. But yeah, as long as I'm not alone in that one. But
honestly, I played worse.
It's not a bad game for what it is. It's one that I'd like to try out more. Just not before I beat Battle of Olympus, which is arguably overall better Zelda 2 clone. But yeah.
But I guess they just couldn't take and pull a Contra with every movie adaptation that featured Stallone or Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, funny thing about Rambo is that, I think like going Rambo is sort of it's a pop culture term that I've heard where just like someone goes like, berserk one-man army, this giant force of nature who's invincible and machine guns everyone. And that is really not how Rambo is in the films. If anything, he's much more of a precursor to Solid Snake.
Yeah.
He infiltrates and stealths his way in, and he doesn't, go for the big explosions until he's suitably armed enough. But before that, all he just needs is his knife and his traps and whatnot. So
now I will say this, Prime. That was something else we did not have in the 80s. My parents refused to get cable.
Oh well.
I only saw Predator because Quincy had a copy and brought it over when parents went out one day. We watched it.
Nice.
Most of the other big 80s action sci-fi movies I didn't see until the early 90s. Like, 90, 91.
Well, I guess I didn't see them until a fair deal later either, of course.
Yeah, you had an excuse.
I didn't... Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super into movies until I was, like, in my teens anyway. So, as a dumb kid, I just watched what little we had in the VCR, which, unfortunately included the fucking Tom and Jerry movie where they talk for some goddamn reason. Why did I watch that so much? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in fact, it was meeting Bromley that I got to watch Aliens and Terminator and whatnot. In fact,
nice.
His dad took us to see Terminator 2.
Oh, excellent.
Sharon brings up an interesting point, though, actually.
Snarb, I will say this. It had Tony J as the hilariously named Lick Boot, so it wasn't a total bust, but...
Lick Boot?
Yeah, Tony J played a character named Lick Boot.
Tell me, though.
In fact... What?
Was there a rapping dog in this movie?
There was. I don't believe there was a rapping dog.
Oh,
unfortunately, it was a musical, and several characters got a singing number, so...
All right. But, you know, Sharon does bring up a very good point there.
What's that?
About UHF.
Yes.
Because that first part where Rambo's escaping with that one POW, and I could literally see how Al and company took that part of the movie and adapted it to UHF along with the ending. So I was like, yep, got it. Okay, I see where you got it all from.
You mean the part where it just goes...
Starts blowing everything up. Yeah. All that and the whole helicopter battle and all that other stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
And I didn't mention to you, though, I definitely did hear the arcade Golden Axe scream in the original.
Yeah, that was by David Caruso. Fucking Horatio Caine of all actors, if you could think of it. Many years before CSI existed, but pretty interesting how that ended up.
As soon as I heard it, it's like, yep, there it is.
Oh, God! I remember there's this really fucking weird bullshit fact that was floating around the internet earlier that said, like, these screams were... And Snarb, you can corroborate me on this. Like, these screams reportedly came from some, like, prison institution where, like, the prisoners were fucking tortured and they got their screams from there or some really fucking twisted urban legend bullshit or whatever. What the fucking fuck?
That's just... Wow.
Yeah, and there's someone called, like, the Bloodalizer that was the guy who did... I don't even... My memories on this shit are fragmented, but, citation fucking needed is all I can really say.
You aren't kidding about that. That's like watching a Faces of Death movie.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I actually saw the first of those. It wasn't great.
The one I saw, most of them were just, clearly, special effects stuff. Except for that one scene where the dude that the filter song "Hey Man, Nice Shot" is based on.
Oh, Bud Dwyer.
Yeah, that was in there.
Pennsylvania can be fucking proud of that one, apparently.
That was fucked up.
Don't get me wrong, though. That is a fucking iconic song of the 90s, and I really like it. It's just...
Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with the song, but, man, seeing that actual scene was like...
Yeah.
Well, damn.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean... I'm... Exactly, sir. I mean, I guess another dead cheating politician, it is what it is, but that it was televised, it
happened live.
Exactly.
See?
He did it live. Fuck it.
It does stand out a lot. But, what was the plot twist to Sawtooth Vulcan that we didn't get as Cybernator?
That's right. That was what inspired you to create the OPCFG partially.
Nah, it didn't really have a lot to do with it, but when I started doing the special features, I wanted to talk about it.
That's right.
Because I'd seen it when Bromley actually bought the Super Famicom Vulcan. We were both shocked. But when I was writing the article about it, it's like, I gotta come up with a good name for it. Oh, that's perfect. Sawtooth Vulcan. Hey man, nice shot.
On point.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying though it is.
Yeah.
Something I just now thought of. What is Vulcan exactly in the context of the game? Like,
what's Lanos?
It's just a cool. Yeah. I was going to make some sort of pun about Christopher Vulcan, but I just can't think of it, so I'm just going to not do that.
Yeah, don't make me break out the soundboard.
Yeah, I already did a really bad pun earlier that I can't even remember now, and it's for the best that I can't. That my short-term memory is Swiss cheese, so you know it is what it is, whatever it is.
So, rather, let's go ahead and talk about something else for the NES. Do you have one in particular you want to talk about now?
Yes, finally, the fucking game I actually wanted to mention tonight.
Yes. Which one?
You know what? I'm actually going to give you 3 guesses. It's an NES game. I'll narrow it down that much.
Super Mario Brothers.
Nope.
Go on.
Give me 2 more.
Bad Dudes.
Nope. Last guess.
Tag and Dragon.
A fucking Satchin game? Give me some credit.
Okay, fine. Give me a 4th. Master Chew and the Drunkard Hugh.
Fuck you. I grew up on that one.
I know. That's why I mentioned it.
God damn son of...
Oh, wait. I know. You want to talk about Rolling Thunder.
Oh, no, I already did in what's now going to be Digital Archaeology prior the Memoirs of Virtual Caveman. Rolling Thunder is a very interesting series, but that's not what I want to cover for now. No. Wherever that went. Anyway, no. The game in question that I wanted to mention, I believe it goes a little bit like
Mermaids of Atlantis.
No, not that one. Whoa, Zombie Nation.
Oh, yes, Zombie Nation, of course.
Which has absolutely nothing to do with the techno artists from the 90s who got popular for Kerncraft 400.
Let me just say that game is bonkers in the best way.
Yeah, that's why I like that game so much. It's really fucking weird, crazy, interesting mechanics for a shoot 'em up. It is maybe very short by even shmup standards, but it's kind of a... I think you mean lazy choke. Yeah, Snarb. Yeah, no, you're right. Music plagiarism was abound in lots of underground circles in the 80s, so... But, yeah, no, Zombie Nation, also known in Japan as Abarenbo Tengu. I think Abarenbo means, like, it's a word kind of similar to Wanpaku, as per Spider-House, where it's like, I don't know, delinquent or bad or something.
And
Actually, I might...
if you didn't think Splatterhouse was going to be represented in the background graphic, you were wrong.
Chibi Rick, huzzah. So cute. What does Abarenbo... Oh, Abarenbo, it's Japanese for delinquents. So, yeah, no, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty. You know, I kind of wish we would have put the Tengu or Namakubi in there, but I guess we were going for action platformers and not shmup, so...
Yeah, I didn't really think of those two. The question is, which one do you prefer more? The disembodied samurai head or the floating Tengu?
You know, I think they're both equally cool and interesting in their own ways. I like how oddly gruesome the floating head of Namakubi is. Like, wow, he just looks very grungy. It's like he doesn't even look like like Toshiro Mifune or something. He just looks kind of like a slob, which, so far I can tell, it's like, samurai of the time were, like, not all of them were handsome. They were pretty ugly, thuggish bastards just working for their lords and, bullying around peasants and whatever. So I get just kind of the feeling from the head alone that he was kind of an asshole back in life, before he just got resurrected. And, the catch of the game is that you're destroying America to stop the evil alien zombie waves threat or whatever.
Isn't it called Dark Seed or something like that?
Yeah, DARCSEED, to legally distinguish himself from the adventure game Dark Seed, which I don't even think existed yet. That's the H.R. Giger inspired one.
Yeah.
If you know about that one. Well, I do like how gruesome and scuzzy Namakubi is. I also do like how cartoonish and expressive the Tengu is. I want to say maybe he fits the game a little... Like, I think the Tengu's more distinctive, but I think Namakubi sort of fits the grunginess of the game a little better, because this game has some... I don't know. some of the music tracks are kind of creepy, I find. It's a very interesting soundtrack, also. It has some really crazy beats in it. I really, really like the... what's my favorite track in that game? I think the music that plays in the cave, which is the only stage 4 technically, it's the only stage that's just one level because it's longer than the others. That music's pretty fucking rad. But it has very interesting aesthetics. I believe, is also developed by the same team who later go on to make Super Pinball and Necronomicon on the Saturn.
Meldak.
Yeah, Meldak and Kaze, which is pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very odd shmup because you're this very big target by shmup standards, and you actually kind of control really loosely. Like, you've got inertia going to you. But as a trade-off, you can also take a shitload of punishment. You're not just a one-hit wonder, very much unlike every other shmup at the time. So I guess you are expected to even tank some things, and the screen can get pretty populated with bullets also, with, like, airplanes and blimps that are apparently... The zombies are apparently sentient enough to still pilot things. So, you also destroy a shitload of buildings and, like, cliff sides, and then you collect the not zombified guys that fly out of them, although I'm not sure if you're saving them or if you eat them. Either is valid. I kind of like the idea of eating them to get more power. I think you're like Godzilla in that you're a destructive force of nature that's merely been summoned to fight something even worse than you, so... That's at least kind of the vibe I get from that. But, it's just a very oddly designed and quirky game. Like I said, it is maybe a little bit too short, even for shmup standards. And the final boss is a royal anticlimax, but it is, I think, an overall fun time of a game. Although, those laser beams or whatever that... They look like they appear in the background, but they instantly zap your health down to 1, and then the next bullet kills you. That's a nasty trick that you'll likely have to kind of trial and error a couple times to learn that, yes, this game will do something bullshit like that to you, but, you know, with practice, it becomes alright enough to play. It just does have some weirdness to it. It's just a very odd, out-of-pocket game. Also, I guess there's sort of like a weird East meets West thing in it, how you're rescuing America from this zombie threat by blowing the shit out of it also. And then when you defeat Darkseid at the end, the American flag and I think like the Capitol building or the White House, one of the two, actually appears, and it's... I don't know. It's bizarre, almost as bizarre as an arcade favorite of mine known as Trio the Punch.
Oh, God.
Maybe it's not as fucking weird as Trio the Punch, but it's kind of like, you know, a few blocks down from it, so to speak.
You know, all this talk about severed heads.
Yes?
I was watching a little bit of Predator 2 the other night.
Oh, hey, on point.
And I cannot just get that one scene out of my head now when that voodoo kingpin, there was named
Yes.
King Willie.
King Willie, yes. He fucking stole the show in his scene, if I say so.
Yeah, and when he realizes the Predator's there, and he's, you know, just when he turns around to start fighting him, and the next thing you see, he's screaming, and his, you know, as he moves further away from the camera, you see it's just his head is being carried by the Predator.
Yes, spine and all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that bit too. It's very nice editing, if I do say so.
Yeah.
Also, Predator 2 is underrated. I almost want to say I like it more than the first, although that might be a bit of too hot a take for some to handle, but... well, I won't... go ahead.
Speaking of the original Predator, of course, we did lose Carl Weathers recently.
Oh, yeah, rest in peace. Yeah, as a big Rocky fan, that really sucks. And I'm sure there's been a lot of Dylan, you son of a bitch comments paid in respect over the internet. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, damn Skippy.
Calvin Lockhart. That's who that was? I haven't looked at the credits for Predator 2 I don't know how long.
Yeah, no, it has been quite a while.
Yeah, he knocked that scene out of the park.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if I can necessarily say Predator 2 is a better film than the first, but I will say I think I like the city setting more than the jungle setting, if that makes sense.
Well, it definitely, you know, led to some more interesting stuff with, you know, a lot more people, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, especially Heat Wave, cops versus drug dealers, and yeah, fertile hunting grounds for the Predator.
Yeah, I also like to say that we have a series where Danny Glover's canonically more powerful than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Although I learned after the fact that the Predator in 2 is actually a less experienced Predator than the one in the first movie.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he is a little bit. I believe I forget who it was in the suit. I don't think it was Kevin Peter Hall. Rest in peace. But yeah, that does check out. That, like, you know, he was sent to the city as more of a sort of a rite of passage, and because he's not as experienced, and you know, Mike managed to get the discs out from under him, he actually did manage to fight and kill him. Whereas the very the Predator from the first film was like a total alpha male, and
Yeah.
one of the best is what he does. So that's why Dutch struggled as much against him as he did. At least that's what the canon explanation I've seen behind the scenes is, which, you know, valid. Nonetheless, I like to say in my mind that Danny Glover is more powerful than Arnold Schwarzenegger because I get a larf out of it, but, you know, it is. That's just how my weirdo brain works.
Okay. Who's next?
Well, that was a tangent we went on.
On a
You know
side
what?
note, I have never heard of the movie Prime just mentioned.
The Werewolf Must Die. Yeah, you know, I haven't heard of that one either, actually. If, really?
Really?
What's that now?
Yeah. What movie was that?
Bring out the rapping granny! What? She's hilarious.
Okay, what was that from? I forget.
I think that was from that really bad Florida episode of The Simpsons. Kill the alligator and run. Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen that in so long.
it's not a very good one. There's this one really good Simpsons-centric YouTube channel called The Real Gems. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that one to you before.
I don't recall.
Yeah, The Real Gems. He does a lot of great Simpsons videos, and he's mostly he mostly has a lot of good things to say, even about the middle and later episodes of the series. So, like,
Let me ask one thing, Prime. Does his last name begin with C?
you'll have to tell me what's going on here.
So it's. Yeah, that's who I thought it was. As soon as you said you couldn't mention it by name anymore, it's like, oh, I know who that is.
I'm lost. What's the dealio?
We're not going to mention it by name. Check Discord.
Oh, no, wait. Okay. That's very fucking obvious now that you mention it.
Yeah, of course, anyone could just go to the IMDb and look that up. So,
Yeah. Sorry, I'm spacing out a bit. Also, we are way off the track from Zombie Nation, but I don't think I had anything else to say about it anyway.
I suck at it, but I still think it's a cool game.
Yeah, it is a really weird one to get used to, and it does pull some bullshit on you, but if you know what to look out for, it is certainly beatable. That being said, it also, like Alien Soldier of all games, it only has an easy and hard difficulty. There's no medium in it, and I don't think I've ever actually beaten it on hard. That might be something to try someday.
I actually look at that as being normal and hard rather than easy and hard.
Yeah, I do too. It's weird how that's labeled. I don't know if that's like a really early form of humiliating the player or whatever, but I don't know. I got nothing, man.
Well, that's all right. I was trying to think of some other really good NES games that I liked. Probably still do.
I thought you said you didn't want to entirely focus on the NES tonight, though.
No, it's not that I didn't want to focus on it entirely, but we're kind of on that tangent, so I'm willing to keep going.
You know what? Sure. Let me know if you think. Let me know if you got it. I'm tripping over my own fucking words. Let me know if you have any. Then that would be cool.
I will say there's one that I don't think it's particularly well liked, but I got some fond memories of it, especially the original arcade version. But I like the NES port too for what it is. And
Mm.
that is Silkworm.
Oh, shoot 'em up.
Oh, yeah. We're going to fit a shooter in here at some point. You know this.
I haven't played that one much, but I remember it being all right.
That was one I used to play the arcade game all the time at the Velez Auto Village, which was like a 10-minute walk down the street from me. And
Cool.
when I found there was an NES version, I had to pick it up. It wasn't as
Nice.
good, but it was still Silkworm. I played worse, let's put it that way.
Makes sense.
Although, speaking of, because I always played the helicopter, screw the Jeep. Speaking of games where you play as cool helicopters, which ended up not being as great as you might think they would be, there were two different versions of this one. That would be Airwolf.
That's right. Based off of the Ernest Borgnine, and I can't remember the other guy TV series.
One of the coolest theme songs ever. But
Doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doodle-doo-doodle-doo. Yeah, that one.
exactly. Yeah, see, Prime, you had the same experience as me. It's like arcade game rocked.
Ah, it was Jan Michael Vincent. That's right.
And
That's right.
yes, Snarb, that is the one that inspired Swiv. I always call
Yeah,
it Swiv.
Yeah, Firepower 2000 is kind of a generic name. I like Swiv. I like what I played of it, but I'm normally pretty good at shmups, but I don't know. Something about that one just really harshes me out. It's a very tough game. I don't know if that's just me or what.
It's got that kind of early 90s Euro game design, which I never cared for.
That would go a fair way to explain why I'm not great at it, I suppose.
Yeah, most of the shooters and platformers I played that came out of Europe at the time, they didn't jibe with me.
Yeah,
there was a
I get
couple I
that.
liked here and there, like a lot of rare stuff. But even though I don't know what people think of this, but I always liked Stormlord.
Oh, Stormware's got a pretty cool theme song on at least the Commodore 64. I don't think that's one I really played much myself, but I get the feeling it's one that at least Snarbu might know about.
Yeah,
He does. Yes, there you go.
My friend Bob had Stormlord for the Genesis. So I got to play that all the time, back in the glorious pre-Sonic days.
Yep. Hey, didn't that one have, naked fairy chicks in it, if I'm thinking of the right one?
Yes, but Sega made them put clothes on them.
Literally 1984, you bastards!
Well, there's a hack out there which restores them to their original look.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Oh, so the second one has naked fairies too?
Let us know if it does or not. I don't know why I'm on this tangent. I don't usually go on this.
But it's funny. Every time, though, there's like the smaller fairies you have to rescue. And there's
it does. Nice.
And there's these larger ones you actually have to jump over. Whenever you jump on one of the larger ones, you actually hear a wolf whistle. It was funny, too, because I had the game running one day. Betty went into our closet to get something, and all of a sudden she heard a wolf whistle. She comes back out and she's like, Rob, he's not here. What was that? And she asked me, I'd gone out to the kitchen for a minute, I think. I came back and she's like, did your game just whistle at me? I looked at it, oh yeah, Stormlord. Yeah, it did.
And this is if you jump on one of the larger fairies?
Yeah.
Wow. So, yeah, it prefers voluptuous figures. It knows what's up.
Yeah, I just had it running in the demo mode. So, because I think right after I said that, it did it again.
Okay, that's pretty great.
So, but yeah, I like that one. Now, see, there's a little non-NES for you. That was Genesis. I know it was Amiga originally, but and C64, I think, too.
I got to admit, I initially confused Stormlord with this other I forget if it ever left the Amiga, but this one game by the name of Savage, where you're this barbarian dude, and it has this really breakbeat ass theme to it that plays all throughout.
I do not recall that game in the slightest.
Oh. I just wanted to mention it because Snarv and I really like the theme song to it. It's pretty distinctive. I'll play that for you later when if I remember.
All right. But getting back on the NES tangent, besides Silkworm, I'm just thinking through the games I've owned that I really liked over time. For a while, I really liked Demon Sword.
That's one I never really got into so much. I did like its technical predecessor, the Legend of Kage. They are both Taito, right? Because I forget exactly how that works. It's kind of confusing.
Apparently, Demon Sword's like a spiritual sequel.
I see.
So, but I actually was able to finish that game.
That's surprising. I never actually really got far in it.
We rented it all the time. We didn't own a copy, but I remember the first week we rented it, I actually went through it. Of course,
Very nice.
That was at the time when my skills were basically at the top of their game. I mean, I beat Predator for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's one I've never beaten either. You do have some on me.
Disconnecting, reconnecting. Okay, I don't know if anyone heard we were just saying. That was the longest disconnect for right now. But it just hit 11 o'clock, so we averaged about 2 an hour.
So, closing time, one last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer.
Thanks. Was that Semisonic?
It was Semisonic. I know who I want to take me home. Okay, that's enough.
Okay, well, you do that. Hey, Eugene.
Oh, hey, Eugene. Oh, shit.
We've had a couple technical issues, but we don't necessarily have to end just yet.
Yeah, no. I'm feeling oddly buzzed. I don't know what else to talk about right now, but I'm sure I'll think of something.
Yeah, well, we can just go ahead and run for the next half hour or so.
Yeah, did you have any other games you wanted to talk about?
I got a ton of games I want to talk about. You know me.
Yeah, you know me too, so yeah, dumb question, but...
Demon Sword. I enjoyed it. I eventually got a hold of the Famicom version, and that is just... I
know that, like,
difficult.
the Famicom version has more shit in it, but it is also a much harder game. Kind of similar to Captain Silver on the SMS, but apparently even more so in difficulty.
Oh. Yeah, that's the Master System version of Captain Silver. If you get the US port... Well, actually, let me back up. If you play either the original Mark III version or the European Master System game, it's the entire game. All the bosses, everything's there. The US version, because Sega was cutting costs, they cut half the game.
Mm-hmm.
But they kept the same manual. So it's like you're looking through the manual, you see all these bosses that never actually show up in the game.
God damn, that's an oversight.
Yeah, I'll say. So I remember seeing, it's like, what the hell's the Banana King boss? I've never seen him.
Yes.
Yes. Ninja Hayate. That's the one.
Wait, Oh, yeah, I remember Ninja Hayate. It wasn't as popular as Time Gal, but I remember it was still pretty neat.
Well, we all know why Time Gal's popular.
Hot anime, babe, of course.
I thought it was time travel.
Yeah, Mystery. You tell yourself that.
Oh, no, I know exactly who they were appealing to with that game. Why do you think she's up there with Daphne from Dragon Slayer and Kimmy from Space Ace?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So...
Hey, I'm curious, did you ever play Eshes Aran Milla?
Eshes Godzilla, what?
That was a much lesser known Laserdisc game that has a really fucking weird name, but I remember it was a little bit like Space Ace, possibly weirder though.
I believe I
I
actually only played 2 Laserdisc games back in the day.
oh, what would those be?
Space Ace and Dragon's Lair 2.
Oh, you played two. Very
Mm-hmm.
nice.
I saw Dragon's Lair
I,
1 once, but I didn't have any money.
I think two's kind of underrated. I think it has some crazier set pieces compared to the first.
And guess what? Time travel.
And that too, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name.
But
But
didn't see a lot of them, unfortunately.
yeah, it was pretty rare from what I gather, unfortunately.
Yeah. Although I did encounter that big, huge 6-player sit down, like practically theater like Galaxian 3 cab once.
I managed to play on one of those a while ago myself.
Did you
Like
actually
this is
go
back.
inside the room and sit down?
Yes, yes.
Nice.
The whole deluxe thing. I think this is like early 2000s or whatever. It was so fucking cool.
I've got the home version. Not quite as cool, but still a neat little rail shooter.
Mm, really cool.
So, but yeah, I remember seeing it once. I had to look in just to see what it looked like, and it was like, wow, I wish I had the $5 or whatever it cost to play this thing.
Yep.
One I wish I'd encountered was the R360.
R3.
I don't think it ever left Japan, though. And I'm pretty sure it ran Galaxy Force 2.
Hmm.
You never heard of the R360?
The name sounds familiar, but my brain's drawing a shit brick right now.
It was by Sega. It was basically an arcade cab that you got into, sat down, and the whole thing spun around.
That sounds like how G-Lock Air Battle operated.
Well, I played the stand-up version of G-Lock a couple times. But
Cool.
now, imagine playing that, and you're actually in this thing that whenever you make a move, the whole cab turns.
Very nice.
Yes.
I do remember playing a deluxe outrun that had the bonus hydraulics that did that, which was also very cool. But
Yeah, and that was nothing compared to what the R360 did.
nice.
You know, Snarb, I could actually see a Valis-like Time Gal game. That'd be awesome.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes.
Armageddon. Don't recall that one. I see
I
Prime knows what I'm
will.
talking about. Oh, but and you know, speaking of arcade games like that, I still say one of the best experiences was playing Terror Burst.
Sadly, still one I have yet to encounter and probably never will, so I'm probably just going to have to emulate it. Oh well.
Yeah, it's unfortunately that you're gonna miss the best part.
The
Yes.
big fucking gun, yeah.
Oh my god, yes. It's like I'm expecting to see just like a Justifier or something, you know, and instead I pull out this full size assault rifle. I had to strap over my shoulder, grab both handles, and that thing had some real kicking feedback on it.
Yeah, I did tell you, though, that I did manage to play another Konami light gun game that actually did have giant rifles like that, although it was more of like a military theme than an alien invasion one. A game by the name of Operation Thunder Hurricane, which I actually did
Yes.
think was also pretty neat.
It wouldn't surprise me if they actually used the same or at least similar hardware.
I want to say OTH was older because I think Terror Burst looked more graphically advanced, but interesting. I never played the one you did, but you never played the one I did.
Well, such is how it goes.
Yeah, I'm so pissed off I never got to play Virtua Cop 3, though. I can tell you that.
Well, I distinctly remember where I played Terror Burst. This place, it was in the late '90s, obviously. It was down in Altamont, Florida, and it was a little arcade, but they had a lot of the newest stuff in there at the time. They had Virtua On,
Nice.
and it was the big, 2-player sit-down one.
Very nice.
The first time we were going to look at Street Fighter 3 was in there.
Oh, wow. Bitchin'.
And they had a bunch of Samurai Showdown games.
Also nice.
And they had a few older games, but the lion's share was given over to the newer stuff.
Oh, naturally.
And I had to try Virtual On. That looks so cool.
And it is
Yes, it is.
tough to play, but really nice style.
Mm-hmm. You had the twin stick controller for the Saturn to play it properly at home.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those places are long gone now.
I would say we should do like an, if we haven't done anything like it yet, an arcade stream, but I'm not looking forward to the depressing ending part.
But on the other hand, you could talk about the Legend of Boonga Boonga.
I don't want to.
Honestly, can't say I blame you on that one.
Okay, the Korean put the finger up the butt game or whatever the fuck.
You're spanking them, is what it is.
Oh, right, gotcha.
But
I thought you were doing a concho thing. My bad.
Nope. But in order to quote unquote spank them, you take the hand and finger shaped controller and shove it right up the actual plastic ass and legs they have there.
Lovely, 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 lovely time, is it not?
What were they thinking?
I don't know, James.
Yeah, but an arcade stream like that would be. It's so big, we'd probably have to restrict it to certain eras.
Oh yeah, naturally. Like, I know you'd probably like to glisten over the rise of fighting games, probably.
I could gloss over that completely, yeah.
Yeah, knowing you.
But at least keep in mind there was a benefit for me when that happened.
Yeah. No one played all the shmups and beat 'em ups that were just laying around.
Well, hey, I remember I went to one arcade. There were people just. It was like 3 people deep, packed in to see Mortal Kombat or something. And I'm walking around, and I saw Strider. And I'd never seen the arcade version before then.
Nice.
Was anyone playing it? No. Therefore, I was. And a couple cabinets over, Bionic Commando.
The arcade Bionic Commando is not very good, admittedly.
I had never seen it before then, though. So I had it.
That is still cool. That is still cool, though, that you got to see it.
And if I did like a half circle around past all the fighting game cabinets, you know what else I had?
What's that?
Night Striker.
The Taito game, right?
Yes. And
that's a really fun one.
And it was the sit-down version, too.
Shit, nice.
And there were actually a lot of games in there that people weren't paying any attention to. I think Lightning Fighters is in there.
Konami Shmup.
Mm-hmm. And Stun Runner.
Stun. Oh, that's that 3D Atari racing game, right?
Yes. Pretty
that
damn
one's
cool.
Pretty fucking neat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it was like kind of like when that one time I went to Disney Quest and got to play Solar Assault.
Ooh. I'm still kind of envious of that, you and Braunley, for that one.
They had 2 cabinets in a hallway. Both of them were being ignored, so we monopolized them.
As well, you damn should have.
And you know what? They did one of the things I absolutely hate when they pull.
Oh, yeah. You weren't allowed to continue on the last stage, right?
No, that wasn't it at all. You could continue on the last stage. No, but every time you died in one of the stages, you respawned right from where you died. Last stage, checkpoints.
Yeah, that's like the little brother version of that bullshit. It's not as bad, but it's still really bad.
It's like, look, guys, one or the other, please. Don't switch it up on us like that. Curse for the Mega Drive did that too.
Yeah, there's one other game I sort of remember. I want to say, what was it? That one shoot 'em up. I believe Shenryu it was known as for the PlayStation and Saturn. I'm pretty sure it did that with the final boss, and it was a really tough final boss too. So.
Yeah. Prime.
That was some MK3. Oh, Taito's Superman, underrated one. At least that's the best Superman game that I've played, not counting the 2600 one, which I haven't played as much.
I will say that at that time I was frequenting the Daytona Beach Boardwalk. Uh, Superman, the title Superman was there.
Mm.
Wasn't being played in just a cab or two down was Operation Thunderbolt.
Ah, double Taito. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. They had a couple others in there too, like Ninja Warriors for one.
Wow, that's a very Taito-centric arcade. I approve.
Well, that was just a couple I can remember, but I know they had also a lot of Namco stuff too because they had Mappy in there.
Ooh, excellent.
Plus your obligatory Pac-Man and whatnot.
At least I personally really like Mappy. There's this one server I hang out in that has a very odd grudge against Mappy for reasons I can't fucking figure out.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They refer to him as Mouse Cop because calling him by his real name is like saying Macbeth or some bullshit. I don't know. It's kind of stupid.
So, Eugene, you weren't a fan of the arcade Superman, eh?
It's not the most excellent beat 'em up, I will admit.
Just one of the best Superman games.
Yeah, exactly, comparatively. I still find it fun for what it is, and just, I admit, a huge summation of points I give to it is to hear Zuntata do a very fine translation of John Williams' iconic theme from the movie. So that alone is worth the price of admission.
Okay, now here's the thing I don't get about the whole player 2 thing in that game.
Oh yeah, Red Superman. I don't fucking know either.
Why didn't they just make it Supergirl?
Yeah, Supergirl or
Supergirl's a logical choice if we're keeping it Superman-centric.
Yeah, for some reason I was going to try and think of another character, but no, that's fucking stupid. Supergirl would have been the right choice, yes.
Oh, can you imagine if they'd ever done a... Oh yeah, the music is great. Yeah, Bizarro Superman, but he turns the other way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I always thought that was funny, Eugene, so...
I guess it would have been out of pocket to have Bizarro Superman in there, but... still been fun.
Bizarro number one.
I just get the impression that, actual red and blue Superman was an actual thing at some point, but it's apparently one of the worst things ever in comics history, so it's why refer to that?
That was more mid-90s, if I remember.
Oh, so that wasn't even a thing yet. Yeah. I know extremely little about actual comics history, so you know me by now.
Sam sent me a couple of graphic novels that actually had that version of Superman.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
Were they any good?
Actually, Snarp said that predated the 90s. Well, there might have been an earlier version before, prior to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. But the one I'm thinking was definitely a 90s thing. You could tell.
Was it any
logo.
good? Was it any good, I have to ask?
Well, he wrestled an angel in that one.
That's pretty bitchin'.
Now, yeah, that would have been nice to see, Eugene. That, pardon me. If the Sunsoft game had actually come out as Superman.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Chemco Superman, though. That's just not a fan. Never have been, never will be.
You mean the one where Superman has to ride a fucking subway to get across town instead of, I don't know, fly?
Yeah, and then he has a heart-to-heart with the Statue of Liberty at the very beginning.
Okay, now I'm going to do the James Rolfe thing. What were they thinking? Holy fucking shit.
No.
The double fucked up thing about the subway is that, there are these, people shadows in there that are all twice as tall as chibi Superman is, so either Superman's a deformed little freak, and so is Lois Lane and Perry White and all that, or these are, giant deformed ghosts hanging out on this phantom subway that Superman apparently has to take because, I don't know, the sun's missing its yellow light or some bullshit. I know that actually happened in Superman the Animated Series once, but I couldn't tell you about this case. So
The one thing I like about the Kemco game is that Clark Kent can have like an 80-foot vertical and no one bats an eye.
Wait, what's that?
In the Kemco game, Clark Kent can jump like 80 feet in the air and no one bats an eye.
That is true, yes. This was many years before the infamous term ludonarrative dissonance existed, but I guess that's a case of that, I suppose.
Yeah, statistically speaking, subways are the safest way to travel. I thought that was airplanes.
Oh yeah, that was like the one scene in Superman Returns I actually liked, yes.
I was thinking of the Superman the movie.
Yeah, that's probably where my mind should have gone first. I don't know, man. I'm starting to run on fumes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No one admitted that. It's like, yeah, Clark, no, not Clark. No, he's not Superman. Okay, everyone, we all know he's Superman. Let's just make him feel better by pretending we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the whole catch of Superman is, he came from an era where I guess, the secret identity thing wasn't stressed as much. Maybe it was, I don't know. But, like, the point is, Lois is extremely stupid, or Superman just really somehow looks different without his glasses. I don't know.
Yeah,
they make fun of that a lot.
On this.
Really?
Yes.
Holy shit.
But, yeah, I just happened to think of a meme that I had seen a while back.
Yeah?
This looks like a job for Superman. Oh, I better go find him. But in this first, you get Christopher Reeve Superman, and it's like, no one must ever know my secret identity. And the next one is Christian Bale's Batman. He's like, to protect my city, no one must ever know my secret identity. And third one's Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. And he's like, no one must ever know my secret. Fourth one is Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark. Fuck you, I'm Iron Man.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate, all things considered.
Yep.
And I remember when Iron Man ran all the way back in 2008, Tony just completely burying the lead with his reveal there was like considered a very iconic moment in cinema history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting to think how far the MCU's come, but it does really feel like it's in a slump now, if you ask me. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, but we're going off on a different tangent here, so let's direct back to Captain America and the Avengers by Data East.
Oh yeah, pretty damn good beat 'em up, as it were.
Except the Super NES version. Yeah.
Bad port. I never really played that one much, and probably for the best that I didn't.
Hey, Triforce Hunter.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, thanks for dropping by and hitting the like button.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Much obliged.
Yeah, there's one thing about that game I cannot get over, though.
What's that?
Vision's walking animation.
Where he's got his haughty arms crossed as he saunters about like the Deus Ex Machina he is.
Yes.
It's pretty great, yeah.
Yeah, the Genesis version is really good. I had that for a while.
Nice.
But that was one arcade game you see all the time, everywhere. Like, for a couple of years, I just could not escape it. Which, I didn't mind. It was a lot different when it came to Sega's Spider-Man arcade game, though. I think I saw it once.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever seen that one in the wild myself, either.
Although that game over screen.
What was the game over screen again? I can't fucking remember.
Well, Spidey's got a bunch of holes in his outfit, right? And he's got, like, stars flying around his head, and he's just kind of shrugging like, oh.
Okay, that's pretty great.
It was a hell of a lot better than the Genesis Spider-Man game.
Yeah, that one's old. I don't know how better to put it.
I
It feel
just don't like that game.
it. I like parts about it, but it just does not hold up very well.
Yeah. Yeah, Venom, he's one of the first main villains you encounter in that.
And his voice has this pretty cool, like, warbly effect to it, as I remember.
Mm-hmm. You know, see, other than those two games, Superman and the Batman arcade game, I don't really remember much of any other superhero arcade games off the top of my head, other than the obvious ones like X-Men.
Mm. Good old X-Men.
Yeah. Go and save the city.
Thanks, Chuck. I think it's pretty obvious with all the fucking Sentinels marching about, but yeah, we'll do that.
Although that first part, when in the intro, when you're coming up on Asteroid M, and first thing is Magneto, X-Men, and yeah, Prime has got a point there about Avengers. Yeah, in the '90s, they were basically second-rate also-rans compared to Spider-Man and the X-Men.
That is... Pop culture has really fucking changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, Iron Man was a B-list character at best.
I remember that being mentioned as such. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about how far they've come like that. Although I will say though, a sort of peril with the Avengers is that arguably the best villains that Marvel have ever written are from Spider-Man and X-Men. The Avengers villains are arguably more of a mixed bag. Is it fair to say that?
Yeah, I think so. Although,
yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm thinking? What's
that?
Yeah, if they had done a sequel to Avengers, I would like to see them do a prequel.
Yeah.
Except it would have been the Invaders.
Hmm.
World War II, Captain America, Namor, and the original Human Torch fighting Nazis.
Yeah. The Timely Comics trio. That actually would have been pretty fucking cool.
I would have loved to see an Invaders game like that.
That would have been awesome, yes. And yes, Ultron's good. Red Skull's really good.
It's Red Skull.
But besides those two, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. Oh, the Mandarin, which was, I suppose, is problematic in some ways. But,
No, you will be the one escaping.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanos was always more of a, cosmic villain, like Silver Surfer or whatnot.
Yeah, from what I gather, he was really more of an event than a recurring arch baddie, and it's probably for the best that he was treated as an event type character for the type of scale that he brought in, because it would have been really diminishing returns to go from the Infinity Gauntlet to any other scheme besides that, I feel.
Although, to be fair to Thanos, he did give us one of the greatest contributions to comics ever.
Oh, what's that?
The Thanos Copter.
Yes! Yes!
And I know Prime knows what I'm talking about.
I was going to say, had this turned to a comic stream, but I'm sure at least Prime doesn't mind that, so...
Well, this is what happens when you go to Dyer's place. The conversation just kind of flows.
Kind of like a certain other place that you own on the internet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Although I kind of had in mind this is going to be like a streaming video game themed Cheers kind of thing, or Archie Bunker's place. See? I knew he remembered that.
I seem to remember a really long time ago that of our friend circle, I believe I was designated the Woody of the group. Does that still hold up?
In which way? We're talking like Woody the Cowboy or what?
Woody Harrelson.
Woody could be very smart when he wanted to be, but
Yeah.
yeah, kinda.
I mean, if he's not the smartest tool in the shed, then I totally accept that fate of myself. I can be kind of a himbo sometimes, depending on the situation, so...
Sammy, you can't go ahead and go on a date with twins on the night you're supposed to be marrying Rebecca without Diane knowing. I'll tell you that, Carla. If it affects my major league comeback, I'll sell the bar.
Careful, careful, Norm. You need to save those pipes for karaoke.
Just give me another beer, you brain dead hick. I'll kill you. I'll kill all of you.
I love you guys.
Okay. Yeah, we said at the top of the stream, for those who weren't here, that we were going to slip Simpsons references in. That was, what, 1 out of like 3 we've done so far?
It was a Cheers reference within a Simpsons reference.
Yes.
So that's like referenceception. I'm sorry, that was a very lame comment, I'm sure.
Frasier is a hit show on the NBC television network. Tonight on Wings. Who cares? Yes, we do know Woody Harrelson's still alive. I hadn't heard about him dying.
Yeah, no, as far as I know, he's still going, and I can't remember the last thing I saw him in, but he is still in movies, so...
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that Zombieland sequel.
Neither did I. I saw the first one, though.
That one's pretty good. I'm not usually big on zombie movies, but that one's a fun enough send-up of the genre.
Now let's talk some zombies here. We mentioned Zombie Nation.
We did, yes.
But as you know, for quite some time, zombies and ninjas were staples of 80s gaming.
Yeah, they were kind of unavoidable in pop culture for better or worse.
Mm-hmm. I remember a Famicom game called Zombie Hunter.
I remember that one too. It had this... the only thing I remember is that it had this really creepy digitized bass voice at the beginning of the game.
Zombie Hunter.
That's the one, yes.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of a side-scrolling Zelda-like action RPG with zombies.
Interesting,
If I
if
remember
true.
correctly. Well, if you look it up, you'll probably see it. But unlike Zelda 2, which is basically free roaming, you actually had to fight what was on the screen before you could move on. So it's like you stop and fight whatever was there, beat it, you get to move on to the next screen. You fight what was there, repeat ad nauseum. Yes, Eugene, you actually do. I found that out the hard way.
Ooh.
Same thing with this one really cool looking ninja game that I had. For life, man, I can't remember what it was called. But remember, all the screens they showed, that I saw anyway, were basically like side-scrolling action, it looked like. No, it turns out that's actually how you fight the enemies in the overworld.
Oh.
And it's more of an RPG than an action game.
That wasn't Little Ninja Brothers, was it?
No, this was something entirely different. I wish I could think of the name.
I see.
But it had nothing to do with like the. It was actually also made by some really obscure company too.
Seta?
No, more obscure than Seta.
But the Bioforce Ape guys. Wow, unbelievable.
Bioforce Ape guys. I think they also made Wizard of Oz for the Super NES.
Those purveyors of fucking quality.
My kids loved the movie The Wizard of Oz. They wanted to play the game in the worst way, so I got it for them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so am I. I hadn't played it before then. Needless to say, they were not overly thrilled with it.
No. Tangent, if I may, I do have to ask, and guess what I am going to ask?
Oh. No, I refuse to guess. You go ahead and ask.
Well, if you say so.
Well, you could have the price of tea in China for all I know.
Have they seen Return to Oz?
Have they seen? Oh, yes. Now, when they were little, they absolutely loved the movie, except for the creepiest part in the entire movie.
Yep. I'd figure that would probably traumatize them.
They begged me to fast forward that scene. I would. But they watch it now, and they're like, yeah, that's great.
Nice.
But we're talking about, they're in their 20s now, as opposed to being when they were like, still in single digits.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they love Return to Oz.
Excellent. It is an underrated ass film, and I genuinely like it more than the original.
So do I.
As well, it should be.
Beware the Wheelers.
Please do, yes.
Who are they? I don't remember them.
Really now?
I answered that question a long time ago, Sharon. Yes, someone has beaten a bad Porter game. Plenty of people have beaten bad ports of games.
Yeah.
I've beaten bad ports of games.
Trying to think of a bad port I beat.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah.
I don't think I ever actually beat the SNES Final Fight because it has limited continues, and that's fucking bullshit. But
yeah, how's that working out, Eugene?
Oh yeah.
And,
how has that been going?
And also Prime. Yeah, I remember hearing it was on HBO, but again, never had cable.
Oh yeah, this is something that Snarb mentioned. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, Snarb and I are talking about how sometimes the only and or best way to play a game in this era is to go for the worst port because of how arbitrary both emulation and re-releases are. It might end up that the only really available way is through the objectively shittiest port, which is the only one you can claim. Term I farted out for this phenomenon is port taste, import taste. Get it?
Where's the soundboard?
Hang on, sir. I'll. Yes.
Thank you. Stage 9, Eugene. I don't even know how many stages that game has in it.
I think there's 12, if I'm not mistaken. So he's pretty far in.
Yeah. And but going back to what Prime was saying, that was a movie that we had to rent. My mom, huge fan of the original Wizard of Oz.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. She was let down. I was completely sucked in.
Damn Skippy. Also, thank you so much, Sharon. Someone appreciates my brand of humor.
I don't appreciate your brand of humor.
Well, shit.
Oh, boy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Thank you. Gosh, dig it.
Yeah. The only Prince of Persia games I've ever really played have been the Genesis and Super NES ports.
Yeah, the Super NES one I actually did beat several years ago. I couldn't do the 2-hour thing consecutively because, my god, that's a really fucking big ask, so I had to use passwords liberally, but I did beat it, and I had a really fun time with it.
Never really made a dent in either of them. So
they're really fucking tough, yes.
I've gotten further and Out of This World and Flashback both.
Damn. That's nice, though, but...
Oh, nice.
Someone made a ROM hack of the S... Oh, someone made I guess kind of a demake, because the SNES Prince of Persia is weird because it's kind of like Prince of Persia 1.5. It has more than enough original content in it to almost practically be its own game in a way. So so I haven't really beaten the original type of Prince of Persia as it was as Jordan Mechner intended, but I did at least like the SNES version, but I would like to take on one of the other versions someday.
And Prime. I completely understand where you're coming from there. Except in my case, I hadn't seen much in the way of horror, but I was already an Indiana Jones fan. There were only 2 movies out by the time that came out. And look, you have melting Nazis in one and heart ripping in another.
Yeah.
So Return to Oz didn't bother me.
I think Toad's face melting did actually creep me out suitably when I first saw it back then, but I'm trying to think of what was the first movie where I really thought, oh wow, this is cool when all the gore happened. But as far as movies go, I couldn't really tell you, but I did quite get used to the disturbing sights that Doom could potentially show you, so, I guess I naturally softened up from there on out.
I don't really look at it as a bad port of Altered Beast. Now, you want to play a bad port of Altered Beast, try the Master System version. It's garbage.
Oh yeah, wasn't the PC Engine CD version really bad too?
Yeah, but it was better than the Master System one.
Damn, that must be really fucking bad.
The Famicom one's a weird beast, so to speak. No pun intended. It's like they include a whole bunch of extra stuff to make up for the shortcomings. But at the same time, it doesn't really function well with just 2 buttons. You really need 3 buttons for that game, at least.
Yeah. So it's a beast.
It's an altered beast.
Wait, hang on. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, and Snarp. Yeah, you're right. Like, he's got exclusive stages and exclusive beasts. Like that one where he's like a were-tiger. Or not were-tiger, but were-shark.
Oh, shark! Holy shit!
Yeah.
That should have been the original.
Should have, but wasn't.
Alas.
Yeah, the Master System port is jerky and, flickery and just bad.
It sounds like that version's in poor taste.
Boy. But, I have finished it.
Oh.
So I
go you.
That bad port.
Why?
Because it was there at the time and I was bored.
Okay, well, that's an explanation for a lot of accomplishments in game history, like when I fucking beat Bart versus the Space Mutants of all games.
I'll tell you one bad port of a game I refuse to even try and beat because it is horrible.
Yeah, what's that?
The Master System version of Strider. Thank you,
no.
Tiertex.
Tiertex, you fucking knobs, all of you bastards.
Yet, they made that incredible Master System port of Gauntlet.
That is so out of pocket. How the fuck did they do that?
Your guess is as good as mine. Oh, you suffered through Bart versus the World, Eugene?
Oh my god, that's even worse than Space Mutants. My hat's off to you, sir.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's,
I'm actually impressed, honestly. I really couldn't get very far in that one.
I rented it once and realized how bad it was from about the moment I pressed power. So I was like,
yeah, I remember renting it too, and I was very unimpressed, even compared to Space Mutants. So,
oh, no wonder you finished it. That was the only basically new game you had one summer. I might have even worked at it myself.
Ouchies.
But oh, yeah. I don't even want to think about the other Simpsons games that came after that. Bart Simpson in Escape from Camp Deadly for Game Boy.
I never played that one, but I do distinctly remember renting Bart's Nightmare. Whoo, boy, that one sucks.
Bartman meets Radioactive Man for your NES.
Ooh, I think that one might be even worse than Bart versus the World. Thank you, Imagine fucking Nearing.
Yeah, you said it.
Jesus Christ, Denton.
Let's face it, there's been exactly one good Simpsons game that came out prior to the PS2 era.
And that's the arcade game.
Damn right.
It's still a really fun game, too.
Mm-hmm. I've heard so many good things about Hit and Run, though.
I actually did play that for like a couple hours sometime last year. It is indeed not bad. I wouldn't say it's great, but by Simpsons standards, it is a pretty alright platformer slash driving game.
Didn't they make another Simpsons game around the same time?
If
Or
they did,
or maybe I'm just thinking of like other ports of Hit and Run.
maybe. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, sorry.
Well, I heard lots of good things about Hit and Run, so it's like Krusty's Funhouse was one of those games that it's a puzzle game for one, and it's a really annoying one at that. It wasn't even actually. It just had it got Mario 2'd.
It did, yes.
Because I don't remember what the original version was, but it was definitely not Simpsons related.
Yeah, something about rodents, something other. Fuck, what was it? Let me actually look this up. By the way, don't want to jinx it, but your internet's actually been pretty good for some time to this point.
Okay, I'm gonna start counting down.
I have fucking cursed you. I am so sorry.
Yeah, that was another rental I made back in the day, and by the time my rental period was over, I was like, never playing this again.
Krusty's Super Fun House. What the shit, Wikipedia? You're not giving me the name of the fuck. Oh, the original game was Rat Trap, developed by Patrick Fox and Scott Williams. On what was it? What was it originally for the Atari ST, Amiga, and Commodore 64? That's right.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, it could have stayed there as far as I was concerned.
Yep.
One thing I remember about that is seeing the ads everywhere for months.
Well, I mean, you know, if it was The Simpsons, I'm sure it had to have an astronomical advertising budget.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine Butterfinger sales were through the roof at that time.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
Thank you, Bart.
Yeah, well, come on. Look, they even did, they cut a record album for crying out loud.
They did.
And it's
I doubt it holds up. I doubt it holds up very well today, but, you know, the nostalgia is palpable nonetheless.
Do the bar band's still not bad.
Yeah. All things considered, yeah.
Not a huge fan of Deep Deep Trouble, though.
Yeah, that one's whatever.
And as far as the other songs on the album, I don't remember what they were.
That's the spirit.
I just remember that one Treehouse of Horror where they had the whole Simpsons being rich and famous thing, and they spoofed that. Or was that? I want to say it was that one, but I think they also did it on the Behind the Laughter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Behind the Laughter is the one with Simpsons Christmas Boogie.
Simpsons Boogie. Lovely to love your lovin'. And Simpsons Christmas Boogie. But yeah, the one from the earlier one was the Simpsons Go Calypso.
Man smart, woman is smarter.
Yes. Man, this
Get
is
a
really getting a hand.
Get a mammogram, man.
Oh, is there anything they won't do?
Man. Hey, this became a Simpsons stream.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about the references, and now we did.
Yeah. All right, the award for best heavy metal thrash performance is Simpsons Christmas Boogie.
He bites the head off the bat.
That was great. I think it was he bit the head off the Grammy, actually.
That's right.
Yeah. Classic stuff. It's too bad that they didn't. Okay. From a strictly business standpoint, I understand that the Simpsons are still raking in cash. So why kill the golden goose? Problem is that they really should have ended that show like 20 years ago.
Yeah, we agree that Behind the Laughter probably would have been a really great meta acknowledging note to end the series on. It felt like it kind of had all the trappings of a show that knew what it was at this point. This is how it was going to go out, but No, it didn't go out like that. It still hasn't gone out, and I'm not sure if it ever will go out.
If it does, I know exactly how they need to end it.
How's that?
Needs to end with them going to Springfield Elementary for the Christmas recital.
That would be a very nice full circle, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'd be like, an Ouroboros or something at that point.
I was going to say it should end with them dying on their way back to their home planet, but I guess that's not as respectful.
Well, you can only Poochie one character on that show. It's not fair to Poochie anybody else.
Yeah, no, that's why they had Roy.
Okay, but yeah, so Simpsons games mainly sucked for the longest time, and kind of still do, so.
Alas.
Mm-hmm. The arcade game was great.
Oh, yes.
Well, they did Simpsons Wrestling for crying out loud. And
no, that one's really fucking bad. It's not even really a wrestling game. It's really just more of a really shitty one-on-one fighter with, I guess, I couldn't even tell you about the perspective. All I can tell you about that game is that Ned Flanders is fucking busted and there is no reason to use any other character ever.
Make way for Willie!
Yeah, no, Willie doesn't have anything on Flanders' God Lightning Loop or whatever you call it.
Well, that does kind of make sense. It kind of goes with the show, Lord?
Yeah,
it's me.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the bit I was thinking. He actually does have God on his side, so logically that makes him a really bad idea to go up against in any competition.
Now, Sharon actually does bring up an interesting question. Was there a game based on the movie? I don't think there was, but was there?
There wasn't, but I think there was actually one just called The Simpsons Game, which I hear is also not bad for what it is. I believe the final challenge is to take on God, who you still don't see him from the head up. You take him on a sort of rhythm dance game, if I'm not mistaken, which is actually pretty great, but that's all I really know about that one.
I was hoping they'd have at least one level in hell where you're forced to eat all the donuts in the world.
I don't understand. James Coco went mad after 15 minutes.
Exactly. But
well, we didn't win. Here's your free pizza.
Yeah. But we did win.
That's okay. The box is empty.
Yeah. Losing Phil Hartman. Very tragic.
I'm still mad about that. Fuck his wife and fuck Andy Dick. But that's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that there actually is a tie-in game is kind of strange.
I'm sure it is, yes. Did it have Spider Pig is the question I have to ask. Because I remember that was like the main thrust of the advertising back then.
Yeah, Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does.
He better.
Yeah. At any rate, I would about run The Simpsons into the ground for this stream.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
I figure we'll cut it in about 10 minutes. So is there any final thoughts you have in mind?
I still haven't totally jinxed your connection yet, have I?
Not yet. So get your final thoughts in while you can.
Alright, well, hey, for a basic fart about stream,
and that's all the time we have for tonight.
Oh, fuck you. Actually, yeah, no, I didn't really have anything beyond, hey, I definitely had fun with this. I like these sort of more informal sessions.
Yeah, they're fun.
Although, I do wonder, and again, you can veto this, we did take tangents into movies at some point, so I don't know if you ever wanted to do any more movie-centric chats like this at any point.
I'd prefer to loop it back around to gaming, because it's just not on brand for the channel.
Okay.
But slipping in movie discussion, TV discussion, comics, whatever, that's all right.
Well, if we do another one of these, I'm obviously going to get to RoboCop. I promise you that.
Of course. But yeah, we just don't want to make it strictly, hey, we're talking about movies tonight or anything like that, because it's not Dyer and Betty.
Yeah, makes sense.
And granted, the streams, 98% of the time are strictly me, as far as the Dyer and Betty have. She just does the backgrounds. But she's participated from time to time. Do movies based on games and game based on movies, Eugene. That is actually a very good idea and one we've discussed.
Hmm. Indeed.
So we do have that penciled in as a potential roundtable in the future. Which reminds me, if anyone's interested in participating in a future roundtable, contact me. And I'll give you a list of what we got planned. And if you want to participate in any of them, just let me know. Speaking of which, see, a game based on a movie based on... Oh, so we're talking about Street Fighter the movie, huh?
Yeah, the game based off of Street Fighter the movie, the arcade one, it's kind of fucking bonkers in an interesting way.
Mortal Street Fighter.
It is kind of like that, but its physics are even fucking crazier than Mortal Kombat. It's actually gained a small cult following nowadays because it
Very
just...
small.
Well,
just like the movie
yeah,
itself.
I did not like that movie very much at first, but as I grew to accept its uniqueness over time, I have become more of a fan of at least what it tried to do, even if it doesn't always hit all the marks in the actual final product.
Mm-hmm. There were a couple of scenes that made me laugh in the movie, and a couple of lines which have held up over the years, like the whole thing about it was Tuesday.
And quick, change the channel!
That was great. Okay,
yes.
That is one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah, Bison and Zangief are the MVPs by and far.
Prime, I can actually see that.
Yeah, that is what I've been saying for a while now, yes.
And
I want to say... Oh, what?
I was going to say, Eugene, also, yes, there are a lot of weird Famicom games based on movies.
Oh, Sweet Home is a precious fucking game. That's one of my actual... I want to say it's my favorite RPG on the NES. I just really, really love the atmosphere of it. And I've beaten it twice, and I really enjoyed it both times. It can be very difficult, but yeah, it's technically a licensed title is fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, it really is. Especially all the gore in that game.
Yeah, that one dude later on, his face fucking melts. Mm-hmm. Not unlike Totes, but in this case it's a lot more horrifying because he was actually a good guy, as I remember. But I guess I'm getting into spoilers now, so...
Well, hey. But yeah, we do have that planned. In fact, now the internet connection, a lot better than last time. So we may be able to get through the Ninja Gaiden stream next week.
Yeah, not perfect, but it's only shit out, I believe, 3 times on us, so...
I think 4 total, so...
Okay, 4. Sharon, you probably haven't seen it because, unfortunately, that one never came to the West. It is import only, and probably one of the most infamous imports, or famous/infamous imports for the thing. We didn't get it because there's a lot of disturbing shit in it. But
we did get a fan translation at one point, so it's playable in English.
One of the earliest fan translations that I can remember, and a good thing too, if I do say so. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's see. So, provided we get through the Ninja Gaiden one without any relatively major screw-ups with the internet, then after that, on the 17th, we're going to be doing another stream, one which Eugene will be participating with us on, along with Mega Ace Gaming. We're going to be talking about Konami Famicom games that never crossed Pacific.
Nice.
So, I am very much looking forward to that because a lot of my favorite games are among those, like Crisis Force, for example.
That's a great one.
Mm-hmm. And that also includes the Famicom Disk System as well, which I know Omega's a big fan of.
Do we get to discuss Almana no Kiseki at any point?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's
Really?
basically Konami's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. There's no way we weren't discussing that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's quite a few. Konami was a very prolific publisher.
They were one of the best game developers for their time.
Was yeah.
Was.
Yep. So
Mm.
no, Sharon, I'm talking about February 17th, not March 17th.
Mm.
So, but yeah, that should be a fun time. Looking forward to sitting down and discussing these games with a couple of fellow Famicom fans. Right, Mike?
I'm one of them, right?
No, I actually figured you were more of a Fairchild Channel F fan. Of course you are.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to Jerry Lawler. I just really don't know much about the Fairchild. Wait, Lawler? No, wait, fuck, hang on.
I've seen some of the games in action, and they're very rudimentary, to say the least. I mean, again...
Jerry Law's son. Sorry,
yes.
Jerry Lawler was the wrestler. Fuck.
Yes. But yeah, no disrespect to him at all. He did a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, looking at it in a historical perspective like that, it was amazing.
Oh, yes.
But it's not a console I've ever had an interest in, so...
So it goes.
Yep. So... yeah, Prime, you got a point there. Heck, still feels like December to me half the time.
Yeah, no, this, I don't know. Time, I think... It's the parts I don't want have been going too fast. The part that I do are going too slow.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But now, I'm going to say this for those who weren't here at the top of the stream. This whole Dyer's Place thing is going to be an ongoing series. Every time we don't have a major roundtable going on and we decide we want to stream, probably expect to see another Dyer's Place episode.
Yeah, so if you like this, let's hope the next stream has an error in it. No, I'm just kidding.
If it's got an error in it, it better be IM error.
Yeah, you think a Zelda stream would be a little bit out of our wheelhouse?
You'd lose me after Link's Awakening.
Well, I mean, I can get a
Link's Awakening.
I can get a lot out of the first four. You know by now how I keep dumping on Ocarina of Time when I get the chance.
Yes. But that was the last new Zelda I actually played, and I played it for a couple minutes just to try it out and was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. Yep. Put another brick under my determination to probably never get an N64, which to this day I still have never done.
Yep.
It's very much a 90s kids console.
Which you were not at the time. You were...
Oh,
no. No, all the Gen X movies like Clerks and to a lesser extent Empire Records. That's what the target group was at your point at that time.
Right. What other one are you talking about, Sharon?
Other N64, other Zelda game.
I know you have an N64, but what are you talking about? What happened to my what other one?
Maybe she means the PlayStation? I don't know.
I didn't mention what happened to my first PlayStation.
I don't know.
My other stream? Well, there's only 2 that are currently scheduled.
So. Oh! If you mean the Ninja Gaiden stream,
well, she was there for that one.
Okay.
No, but I don't have anything scheduled for March 17th at all. So, besides, is that even on a Saturday? I don't know. According to this, March 17th falls on a Sunday. I don't usually stream on those days, but I have in the past.
Solomon Grundy, born on a Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I really got nothing. It's past midnight. My brain's gone bye-bye for the time being.
Mike's gone bye-bye, everybody. What do you guys have left?
Oh, yeah, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is looking pretty neat,
Yeah.
if I do say so.
Wait, all my streams from the past few years, they're all on the channel. You can watch any of them.
Yep. You have to go to the live tab, which I admit I miss sometimes.
Or
but
you can just go to the Dire Streams playlist.
that too. That sounds good.
And there is now a Dire's Place playlist as well.
Is there anything like Pee Wee's Playhouse?
No, I was thinking more Archie Bunker's Place.
So, I guess I gotta get out of your chair then.
No, Archie Bunker's Place was not his house. It was the bar he bought.
Oh. Oh, he had a... My all in the family knowledge is obviously lacking, so I'm just gonna quietly shut up now.
I'll just sum it up for you very briefly. After Gene Stapleton left the series, they wrote Edith out by killing her off. So
I remember hearing about that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, my other series is still there. We're still doing them. This is just kind of a spin-off of what we're going to do when there's no big roundtables that are scheduled.
I.e. when we run out of ideas.
Oh, we have plenty of ideas, but sometimes we can't get all the people together on one day, and conflicts, things like that. But yes, Brian, the spin-off show with the little brunette girl.
Little brunette girl?
It was like Archie's niece or something like that.
Was she a precocious little annoying brat?
No, actually she wasn't.
Oh, that's good.
But after Edith died, he ended up buying the local bar. And the series was changed from All in the Family to Archie Bunker's Place.
Was it still at least kind of good, or did the ratings really tank at that point?
Well, it ran for a few years afterwards, so they didn't tank completely.
Not bad. Not bad, then.
But that was, well, didn't matter because they kept doing spin-offs even after All in the Family was off the air. I mean, the last one they did was about the freaking house.
What?
Yeah. In the early 90s, it was very short-lived. They actually did a spin-off that involved the house. And a new family moved in. Okay. And it was just like, now you're stretching. You're really, really stretching.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
Oh, that show had so many spin-offs. I mean, you had Maude, the Jeffersons, Gloria, of course, All in the Family morphed into Archie Bunker's Place. But then I think it was called 702 Hauser Street or something. 704, that's right. 704 Hauser Street. That was the name of the spin-off about the house.
That sure is that. That's all I can think to say right now.
Makes me wonder if Norman Lear was ever even involved in that.
Probably not, Davey.
You think? I don't know. You might have been.
I really have no idea.
It's okay. I'd rather watch new WKRP anyway.
What? Huh?
You didn't know? In the early 90s, they revived WKRP.
Oh, WKRP. Okay, yeah. No. You did tell me about that.
Yeah.
And Gary Sandy, oddly enough, was not called back for it.
No, he wasn't. And apparently he was fine with that. And neither was the woman who played Bailey. I can't think of her name.
Jan Smithers.
Yes. But, both Johnny and Jennifer did guest appearances on that. So did Venus.
And Herb was a regular, right?
Yes. Herb, Les, and Carlson. And even Carlson's mother showed up from time to time still.
Huh.
But other than that, it was a wacky new cast of DJs.
I take it none of them were as remarkable.
Well, one of them was French Stewart, if that tells you anything.
Jesus fucking... I have not thought about French Stewart in fucking ages. I forgot he was a person. I don't even know how to react to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and yes,
Except apparently with raucous disbelief laughter. So,
and yes, Prime. That's exactly what you're thinking about. Yeah,
uh,
house. Yeah, that would have made no sense. What would have made less sense is if the house itself came to life.
I was like, oh, well, I remember this here family that used to live in me. Let me tell you a tale, Davy. I don't know.
And then they would just sandwich in old episodes of All in the Family in between the new framing segments with the freaking house.
Yeah, it would be like, every episode is just like the fucking menagerie or something like that.
Exactly. There's your Star Trek reference for tonight.
Oh yeah, and also I was actually going to say that I take it the new WKRP is in no way the next generation. So
No. And yes, Sharon, I don't know why you're telling me that. I know it wasn't House a medical show, drama, Doctor House, something like that. I don't know.
yeah, the Hugh Laurie one, yeah.
Yeah. But guest starring House from Police Academy Citizens on Patrol. Yes, I could see that.
I saw the first Police Academy a few years back. It was pretty good.
Hey, I just know that, as far as I'm concerned, the best character from that was Michael Winslow.
I mean, yeah, that's almost objective fact. I want to say.
Excuse me, sir. I have trouble with the radar, sir. You don't need that number right here. Now, what is it? I have trouble with the radar, sir.
Wait, hang on. I have to bring up something now if I might.
Okay.
What's that?
We got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Staling! How could you? Haven't you learned anything from that guy who gives sermons at church? Captain what's his name? We live in a society of laws. Why do you think I took you to all those Police Academy movies? For fun? Well, I didn't hear anybody laughing. Did you? Except that guy who made all those sound effects. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, stay out of my booze.
Yeah. Okay. There's your last Simpsons bit for the night.
Yeah, I can't give any more. I think I'm incapable of any more.
Yes, Michael Winslow as Jones is guaranteed fun. Especially when he
Absolutely.
Unexpectedly shows up in other movies. Like Spaceballs.
Oh yeah, that did happen. Spaceballs is underrated.
Lost the bleeps, sweeps, and the creeps. What, the what, and the what? You know, the beeps. Sweeps. And the creeps. It's not always lost. Anyway.
What a legend.
Alright. I think rather than just devolve into random stuff, I think it's time to turn the close sign on and tell you we'll see you next time.
Close in time. Alright, never mind.
I got off Semisonic.
Okay.
Alright, folks. So we will catch you next week for the Ninja Gaiden stream. Keep your fingers crossed that one goes off with relatively few hitches.
And I'm gonna do my part in crossing them fingers. Let's hope it works.
Yep. So, well, good night, everybody.
Good night, hosers.